What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another mammoth stream for you guys. Obviously, we're going to be looking back at the RZ game yesterday and looking forward to the game at the weekend, Fulham away at Craven Cottage on Sunday. But let's get straight into the match review. 3-1, Spurs sail into the quarterfinals of the Europa League, set up a big tie against Frankfurt, which we'll get into a bit later. But obviously, Sim, you were there at the game yesterday.
I was.
Talk us through what was going on.
I was wined and dined.
Wined and dined by Sidis. Big up to Sidis, by the way.
Yeah, big up to them. Yeah, there you go.
Big up to them. But yeah, talk to me, because we spoke a lot about the atmosphere before the game. So talk us through what the atmosphere was like last night.
Yeah, I think obviously previous games at Spurs recently, especially like Man City at home, not so long ago, the atmosphere has definitely been a bit flat in the stadium. Kind of, maybe it's because in Premier League games there's just like not that much to play for or anything like that, and maybe there's not much belief right now in the fan base. Obviously, we had that incident at the end of the last RZ game, didn't we, between Vicario and Maddison at the end of the game, in the away game that was, saying, you know, fans need to kind of stick together, like there's always a second leg. And I think we kind of showed that yesterday, and I think the fans reacted to that in a positive way yesterday. And I think from the first minute, the atmosphere was a lot louder. It was a lot more behind the team. They were kind of cheering every tackle, and you could feel the energy in the stadium. I thought it was it was weird, like before the game, you know, it was still kind of a bit quiet. Maybe there was a few nerves. It was kind of like the atmosphere was kind of tense. But as soon as the trumpet came out, and when the Spurs started cheering, it was very, very loud. It was something, you can kind of tell that with the trumpet, how loud when the Spurs is, how good the atmosphere is going to be sometimes. Because I thought when we played City, when everyone was singing it before the game, it was just a bit flat. Usually it's like belting out, and it wasn't kind of like that. But yesterday was very different. We were belting out when the Spurs, when the trumpet came on. And I thought from the first minute, the atmosphere was really, really great. The South Stand was electric. And I think well, I was going to say I think the players fed off it. They definitely did in the second half. But first half definitely was a bit of a tense start. I think it's fair to say we didn't have. We scored with the very first shot of the whole game. I think on 30 minutes. I think both sides were kind of filling each other out early on, but the fans, you know, didn't let up. They were singing throughout, and it was a really good European night. I wouldn't say special, because we've had a lot of great European nights at home, especially at the Lane mostly, but also at the new stadium we've had a few really good ones. So I wouldn't say it was on that kind of level, maybe because of level of opposition, level of competition as well. We've had some great Champions League nights there, but definitely a big difference and big departure from the atmosphere in the Premier League games in recent weeks, that's for sure. Yeah,
that's very good to hear. And, you know, me being here in the studio, I kept putting on the headphones just to not even checking out the commentary, to check out what the atmosphere was like. And every time I did put the headphones on, I heard Spurs fans singing. So, yeah, I was very happy about that. Lineup that Ange Postecoglou chose, I thought it was probably the strongest lineup that we could go for. And when you talk about, you know, feeling a bit nervy outside the ground, that was probably before the lineups were announced, right?
Well, I think everyone expected a strong team, right?
No, they did expect a strong team, but I feel like once you see those names of Kuti Romero and Mickey van der Ven
just seeing
that starting lineup, because you're never actually certain until
you can never be too sure.
Exactly, you're never too sure until you actually see it, right? And I always feel like whenever you see them on the starting lineup, when the lineups get announced, it gives the place a big boost.
Definitely, and it was the first time, obviously, since Chelsea game that we still saw them start together. That only lasted 15 minutes, and we remember the boost we got that game. Obviously, we were 2-0 up before Romero had to go off. So obviously that garnered a bit of excitement seeing them both together. It's so great seeing them both together on the pitch as well. You can just see the confidence it gives the team, where you're able to push up, like knowing that anything coming over the top or going in behind, Romero and Van der Ven were going to gobble up. What a difference. I know it's going to sound like a major criticism of Archie Gray, but there's such a difference having Romero there, because you saw in the first leg, I highlighted how Troy Parrott on more than one occasion was able to dominate Archie Gray in the air, and that just created opportunities for RZ to get up the pitch and create moments in on a goal. Poku was getting into the game, but on this occasion, any kind of ball long to Troy Parrott, Romero was gobbling up, and instead of an opportunity being created for RZ, it just meant Spurs retained possession. And I thought the biggest encouraging thing from the first 45, obviously we dominated possession, which you expect, especially at home. And we didn't create too much. Obviously, we got the goal from some good pressing, which we'll get into. But the main kind of thing that was a major kind of positive from that first half was the fact that RZ didn't have a kick really in our half. They didn't have any sort of opportunity. They didn't have any chance. And that has just been so long since we've been able to say that really from any opposition, that they just haven't been able to get near our goal really. They didn't get near our goal in that first half. And I think that the tone was set from those two centre backs, and having those two, seeing them in the lineup was great. Obviously, Odegaard starting on the right instead of Johnson. I think that was quite telling. Pardon the pun, apart from tell, but. Ahead of Johnson, though, Johnson's obviously come back into the team a couple of games ago, got 2 against Ipswich, and it looked like, okay, he's back now. But now Odegaard's definitely supplanted him, and I think that was more evidence of it, that the fact he started over Johnson in a big game where we needed a win, and he thought to himself, I'm not going to start the guy who's our top goal scorer. Whatever you want to say of his performances, it is still a big call to leave out your top goal scorer out of the team in a big game like that, and he did it for Wilson Odegaard, who's barely played that much this season, is also coming back from his own injury. But I think when you see them both on the pitch, there's just a massive difference between what they contribute kind of in general game, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's no surprise that Odegaard did start. We both went for him in the predicted lineup, didn't we? Odegaard over Johnson on the right.
It's not a surprise, but still like a fairly big call on a big game like that.
I think it's significant, and I think it proves that Ange Postecoglou is probably getting as frustrated as we all are of what Brennan Johnson is contributing from a general game state. He's doing great in terms of arriving late in the box and getting to those scoring positions, but actually in impacting the game, he's not doing too much. And I think that's Ange Postecoglou is probably getting a bit frustrated.
Does it not say more about his belief in Odegaard? Would you not say?
I think it's a bit of both. I think if Brennan Johnson was contributing maybe as much as maybe Ange thinks he should and the fan base thinks he should, then maybe Brennan Johnson would have kept his spot.
Yeah, fair. And another 2 other, I would say, fairly significant calls in this lineup was obviously Spence starting ahead of Udogie again. Not necessarily that it was Spence starting. The fact Udogie was left out for the second consecutive game, you would have thought he was going to start one of them, and he didn't start either of them. Yeah. In fact, he didn't even start against RZ. So that's 3 games in a row he's been left out, right?
Well, he started. Spence. Oh, Spence.
No, sorry, Udogie.
Udogie started last game
against Bournemouth.
Oh, no, it was Porro and Spence, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it's 3 in a row.
I think it's 2 in a row, wasn't it?
Oh, no, he started against RZ. Yeah. Sorry, it was Spence and Udogie, right? So I think that goes to show a lot of people saying, when Udogie comes back, Ange made this quote saying that, Spence is going to be important until Udogie comes back. And everyone's like, look, he's going to, Spence is going to be out as soon as Udogie come back. Not true. Spence is clearly our number 1 left back or whatever fullback right now.
It was something I was concerned about, and obviously I was wrong to have those concerns, because Spence clearly is one of the favoured and probably the favoured option at the moment at fullback. So yeah, that's blessing. That's music to all our ears, because Spence again had a really good game last night in my opinion. But I just want to make that point that you were making before about the Romero and Archie Gray situation from last week against RZ to this week against RZ, and I think it tells in the stats alone where Romero yesterday 4 out of his 5 aerial duels he won. Last week, Archie Gray won 1 out of his 4 aerial duels. That just tells you the whole story pretty much.
And it makes a big difference, especially the way we play. If you're giving the opposition that kind of ability to win the ball half the pitch like they did with Troy Parrell, and they're lumping it long, you're allowing it to stick and allowing them to kind of build an attack. Same with exactly the same thing when it comes to the goal that we conceded. We'll get into all of these things, but they played just 1 ball in behind, and Troy Parrott was able to hold the ball and hold off Archie Gray. And I know it was a mistake that led to the goal, but it all came because Troy Parrott was able to hang on to the ball. Yet in the first half, any kind of ball in behind, Van der Ven gobbling up, they're not getting anything. They're not hanging on to the ball. Van der Ven's coming over, sweeping up, winning the ball back, and Tottenham are on the attack again. And that's just the difference it makes. And that's what I've been trying to say about, as much as I've been really impressed with Gray and fair play to him for stepping in the centre back, it's just night and day between him and Romero, and Van der Ven, and what they can offer and what a difference that makes to the team. It makes a complete night and day difference. And obviously another big call, which again was one we called in the predicted lineup, but still, on the face of it, it's a fairly big call in a big game to put our BERGVALL in the 6 in this kind of game when you have more senior players like Basuma on the bench. Obviously, you got Archie Gray, who a lot of people are saying he's a more natural defensive midfielder, but he went for BERGVALL, a 19-year-old who we've seen play well in that position this season, but still in a must-win big game like we saw yesterday, to give him that kind of responsibility and have kind of Maddison ahead of him and Sarr there as well was also a fairly significant call, and I thought another one that really paid off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He was the best player for me on the park, even though he'd made that kind of mishap hitting it into Odebear, and obviously they go on and score the goal to get themselves back in the game. But BERGVALL, such a mature display last night. I was so impressed with him, and I've been impressed with him pretty much ever since he's broken into the side, and he's growing in stature, growing in confidence. He's just growing into this team so well, Lucas BERGVALL. And I mean, the head that this guy has on his shoulders, he's so mature, and he's getting better and better as the weeks progress. And last night, I think we discussed it on the post-match fan show, but I think it was, and I think we agreed on it, that it was probably the best of the lot in terms of a Spurs display, or a display in a Spurs shirt. And in the number 6, in such a pivotal game, always stepping out and winning those interceptions. I mean, it was countless. I think he won 5 interceptions on the day yesterday, won 100% of his ground duels. I mean, the guy was so dominant in the middle of the park, and it contributing to our attacking phases of play, never letting RZ have any sort of respite, because every time RZ were looking for that out ball, there was Lucas BERGVALL to recycle the possession and to basically keep the pressure in the opposition half. So I mean, his performance last night was well beyond his years.
For sure. And so a lot of big calls in a big game for Ange Postecoglou to make in his lineup, and I thought he was brave, and I think it paid off in spades. And I think he did play the players who deserved the minutes, no doubt about it. I think all the players who we're talking about, we're talking about leaving out the likes of Johnson, Basuma, and Udogie. And they deservedly were left out, because Spence, BERGVALL, Odebear are all much better form. But these are things obviously we have criticised, or people have criticised Ange for in previous things, not playing players in form, all these kind of things, or not playing the right team. But I think yesterday he got that spot on, didn't he?
No, he got absolutely spot on yesterday. And obviously, as you all know, I've been a heavy critic of Ange Postecoglou over the last 3 or 4 months, or however long it's been, and I've got nothing but praise for him for his team lineup last night. And look, you say it was a bit of a nervy start from the team, or both teams, yesterday in the game, which you're right. But what I noticed straight from the off is the intensity and the pressing was absolutely spot on, and a different kettle of fish than what we've seen over the past 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, and I think that's because we're able to rotate the team. I think that's what Ange was also saying in his press conference, and I think it's no surprise. Obviously, we've got game players back. We're able to rotate like we did from Sunday, the Bournemouth game. I don't know how many changes in all we made, but we made quite a few changes, I think, from the game on Sunday. And I think that's obviously going to lead to more energy into the team. That's going to lead to us being able to press a lot better than we have in recent weeks. And I think it was a bit, I would say we were in control, but we weren't really, obviously, finding any gaps in that RZ defence. We were kind of pensively passing the ball around, making sure that we're not giving any stupid early goals away like we have done in games previously. And I think having that start was quite important, making sure there's no sloppy starts, when there's no easy chances being given up. And I think there was a real turning point in that first half when Romero just goes into that crunching challenge, doesn't he? And then from that moment on, you're just the stadium was up for it, and all of a sudden I think everyone upped their game. Like it was kind of like Romero kind of saying to him, all right, let's go, let's have it. And obviously not long after that, Son's closing down one of the RZ players, gets a block on the pass, it falls to Solanke, we get a bit of luck, and obviously Odebear puts it away. And I think that kind of set the tone, that challenge, for how we wanted to go on towards the game. And I completely agree. The aggression, the intensity was so different, so much better than it's been in recent weeks. And I think it was more evidence of when the intensity is at that level, what a dangerous team we can be. But yeah, it was when you're 1-0 down, I think, and given it was such an important game, I was no surprise that we were kind of just making sure it was a bit more of a calm start. And I know we all wanted us to start 100 miles an hour, but in a weird way, just making sure that RZ weren't getting any sort of joy in while we're making mistakes like we were kind of against Bournemouth, rusty mistakes, part of trying to force things. We weren't doing that early on. It was much more controlled, but it wasn't a very easy watch at times in the opening, I would say half an hour, where it was just kind of very pensive and we were just kind of not forcing the issue. But maybe that's what needs to happen, just to make sure that we're not giving away too many easy chances early on.
Yeah, I think so. And back to your point again on the players, the changes that Ange made in the lineup. It was 5 changes, right? And the 5 changes that were made were Van der Ven comes in, BERGVALL comes in, Maddison comes in, Son comes in. So 4 changes, I think it is. So those 4 changes are pretty much the changes that were so pivotal to us in the game. Mm-hmm. All these players were so fresh. All these players made such a difference. Looking at Van der Ven, nothing got past him the whole day. Lucas BERGVALL was so dominant in the middle of the park, and a fresh Sonny and a fresh Maddison. I mean, I thought Maddison had a fairly quiet first half, but then he really grew into it in the second half, and he was so pivotal to us. So I felt like the rest that these players got made such a difference to us in this game. And how many times have I sat here and said that the experienced players need to step up for Tottenham Hotspur in these big games? Aston Villa, they didn't step up. Liverpool in the second leg, they didn't step up. Multiple other occasions in league games, they haven't stepped up. Yesterday was completely different. And the experienced players, like we called in the match preview, have to step up in this game, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's hard to say we deserved a 1-0 lead going into half-time. I think we were the better team, but we didn't. That was really the only chance we created in that first half, wasn't it? The Odegaard chance. And it wasn't even much of a creation. It was more from obviously we got it from our pressing. It was good pressing from Son, and I think obviously Solanke, good presence of mind to play into Odegaard. I think a lot of other strikers would have maybe taken a shot when it falls to them at that moment, but he had the presence of mind to calmly just play it into Odegaard's path. Lovely finish on his left foot, and he obviously needed that Odegaard, because it's been difficult for him ever since coming to Spurs and being injured all the time and not getting a regular run of games. But I mean, to be fair to Ange and people asking, in the summer, we signed him as a teenager, and how much does he improve us? But Ange has thrown him in whenever he's been fit, really, hasn't he? When he first came, he started straight away, and as soon as he's come back, obviously he came on against. We started against City. He came on like quite early on when he got back from injury. Everyone was expecting him to be kind of slowly brought into the team, which he kind of was, because he was used as a sub a bit. But there was other ITKs or whatever saying.
Well, he came straight in, didn't he? His first start was our second game of the season against Everton.
No, I'm saying that was early on, but I'm saying when he just got back from injury, a lot of people were saying he's gonna kind of. Going to have to be very careful with him. We're not going to see him until April or whatever, and he's not going to be back till very late. But clearly, Ange is desperate to get him involved, and when he's had the chances to start him, he started him, and clearly he believes he's our first choice winger, because whenever he's had the opportunity to start him in big games, he's done it. And I thought. Obviously brought him straight into this game, and he got the rewards for it with a brilliant first goal on his left foot. I know it's on a plate for him, and he just has to put it in. But the way he took it was really on his left foot was really impressive. And I thought it wasn't just that. There was a few times you could just see the quality he's got when he's dribbling and he's running at you and he's got space. There was at one moment, I think it was in the first half, he just takes the ball, drives inside, beats 3 players, and played it out wide to Son. I think it didn't come of anything, but those kind of moments is what's really missing from Johnson, where when he picks the ball up, that he just doesn't, a lot of the time, just doesn't have that confidence to drive at his man and just commit players and beat players and open up the space, because that's so crucial when you're playing in that kind of position, that you try and open up the space as much as possible and disrupt the back line. And that's apart from when Johnson's crashing the box, like late runs and maybe running in behind with a good finish, he doesn't disrupt the back line enough when he's on the ball. I feel like when he's on the ball, he's just too easily shackled. He's either going down the line or he's passing it back. That's it. Whereas Odegaard just seemed to, he doesn't mind driving in field, doesn't mind. There was at one point where it was even like a 10, and he was looking good. His involvement in even the second goal, that little pass into Maddison to set up Son, who played it back to him, like those little things really, really impressed me from Odegaard. I saw a lot of people saying it was a similar performance to Johnson, where he'd scored 2 goals but didn't do much else, but I just completely disagree. I thought he did a lot more than that. Look, he wasn't creating chance after chance. He maybe could do better with his final ball. I agree with that. When he was on the wing and he was getting to the byline. Sometimes he allowed the cross to be blocked and his final ball could do some work. But I think in general play, when he's picking the ball up in the middle of the park and he's square on with some defenders and he's got space to run into, he went for it and he drove past players and he opened up the space for other players. And that was a big difference to what you see with like Brennan there.
Look, he did 3 successful dribbles out of his 4 attempted. When's the last time Johnson has ever pulled up stats like that? Like, when you're looking at Johnson's last 6 months stats as a whole, he's probably got similar numbers to that in terms of successful dribbles completed. So, yeah, I mean, I completely disagree with anyone that says Odebear had a similar performance to Johnson. I think that's a bit preposterous. I think Odebear had a really good display in his own right yesterday, and he was looking dangerous throughout. Yeah, there were moments in the game where he was out of the game a little bit, but that can happen to anyone. And Odebear, as a 19-year-old coming into the team, starting in a pivotal game for us, he made a big difference. And since Johnson's come back from his injury, he hasn't had a performance anywhere near the kind of level as what Odebear showed yesterday. And, you know, you compare the 2 performances of Ipswich, Brennan Johnson against Ipswich, and Odebear last night against Alkmaar. I mean, they're levels apart.
Yeah. I think you could just see when the goal came in, though, that first goal, it was just a massive relief around the stadium because it was a bit nervy. We didn't look like we were creating too many chances. People were starting to get a bit agitated, the fact that we hadn't created too much in the first half an hour. But as soon as that goal went in, everything definitely settled down in the stadium and the team as well, and we seemed to just up our game a bit. We had a few kind of half chances, didn't we, in the last 10 minutes of the half? I think Odebear had a bit of a volley. Son became alive a bit, started running on his side as well, creating some openings. So he burned some really nice runs, Sonny, in that first half.
I felt like the first 20 minutes, our most dangerous outlet was Odebear. And then as the kind of second half progressed, Sonny kind of grew in influence, didn't he? And then by the end of the half, I was sitting there saying, oh, Sonny looks probably our brightest player right now. And again, it goes back to the rest that he had on the weekend. I think Ange has actually done a really good job of managing Sonny's minutes over the last couple of weeks. Hasn't been playing him every game like he has been doing all season pretty much. And I think he's reaping the benefits of it, and definitely reaped the benefit of it last night, Sonny, because he had a really good performance, really dangerous, never stopped running throughout the day, full of energy. So I want to give massive credit to Son Heung-min for his performance last night. So, I mean, the goal obviously comes from his pressing. It kind of finds its way to Dom Solanke. Dom Solanke has the presence of mind to square it to Odebear, because it would have been really kind of easy for a striker like Dom Solanke just to snatch at the shot and to take a shot from there, and maybe it hits a ricochet off the defender, or it saves, or maybe it even goes in. But, you know, he squares it to Odebear, who had a better chance to shoot on goal. And, you know, we know strikers can be selfish at times, and it would have been easy for him to score. So credit to Solanke for finding Odebear in that space.
Yeah, and he's a selfless striker. We know that. He's been ever since he's been here, he's been a kind of a sacrificial lamb for the team. The amount of running he does, the amount of hold-up play he gives to the team as well. I think for sure we have to do a better job in creating more chances for him. And I think that's obviously, the more he plays, that I still believe that will come. And I think the last couple of games he hasn't really been the one creating the chances, but you still see a massive difference with him in the team up front when compared to some of the other players who've been playing in that position. I think Solanke just offers something completely different, and I think that pass is something that that's emblematic of the player he is and what he offers to the team, that selflessness. And it was a brilliant assist from him and a brilliant take from Odebear on his weaker foot, and with Spurs in the lead, that was exactly what we needed going into the break. Yeah, and I think probably come the end of half-time, you'll probably say we deserved the lead because we had to create a few half chances, we created the goal, and I think most importantly, RZ just had nothing. They never looked like getting near our goal, to be honest, that whole half. And I think a lot of that's to do with Van de Ven and Romero, just how they defended. It was all
down to that triangle of Van de Ven, Romero and BERGVALL. It was all down to that. And not only that, but Dom Solanke as well, pressing from the front, and you know what he brings every single game. So I think the team as a structure did very well, keeping up the intensity for the half, not letting AZ Alkmaar grow in any sort of influence or gain any sort of confidence from that game.
The only thing they did have was the one time Romero did get a bit sloppy, didn't he? He played that one pass straight to an RZ player again. Luckily, it didn't really lead to a great opportunity, and that shot was never really troubling Vicario. But I guess that was a little warning sign there that he's still not 100% up to speed and he's still a bit rusty. But yeah, that one thing was the only thing RZ had that whole half.
Yeah. And look, like you said, deserved 1-0 lead at half-time without creating too much. I always kept saying to Danny during half-time and at the end of the first half, we look dominant here. We look like we're in complete control, but we're just not creating too much. And it was worrying me only going in the half-time break at 1-0, basically tying on aggregate. I was worried only having a 1-0 lead at half-time when, because you knew RZ were going to come out with a different sort of momentum and try and be a bit more aggressive in that second half. And I think that is what they did. But we got that goal really early on.
Yeah, and that was massive. As soon as we came out from the second half, really went for RZ, made sure that we got that second goal as quickly as possible. Really well-worked goal. Really well-worked goal from Tottenham. Odeberg again involved. Brilliant play, cutting inside. Plays a little lovely ball into Maddison, where I think a lot of players would have gone just straight out wide to Sonny, but he didn't. He goes inside to Maddison in that little pocket at number 10. And what that meant was, it meant an RZ player had to come over to make sure Maddison doesn't get the shot. He then plays the ball over to Son, who looks like he's going to go down the line, but he sees Maddison just make a little yard of space for himself in the box, quickly plays it into him, then he just takes one touch and bam, into the bottom corner. Lovely finish. And that's, again, something that I know Maddison has got, I think, in all competitions now, is that 11 goals in all comps? So he has been scoring a lot more this season than he did last season. I think last season he only scored 4 goals. So he's on his way to tripling his goal tally from last season, at least, I would say, this season. But that position in the box, we just want to see him more there because he can be so deadly. You saw it yesterday, just one touch and bam, brilliant finish into the corner. And he's got that ability about him. It's just sometimes you feel like you want to see him in those kind of positions more. He's so kind of concentrating and being deep and being in build up and progressing the ball forward, which is obviously he needs to do that as well because he's one of the best passers we have in the team. So I think that's also a crucial part of his game. But I want to see him in those kind of positions in the box because he's got such nimble feet and he feels like whenever he can always make a yard for himself to get a shot on. When he's got the kind of shot he has on him, you always want him to get that shot off as many times as possible. And that showed yesterday. One touch, bam, into the corner. Brilliant decision from Son to lay it off for him as well because, again, it would have been very easy for him to go himself or go to the byline. But he just spotted Maddison. Really good decision and a really good team goal as well for the second one.
Yeah, it really was. And really nice build-up play. And we'll get into the third goal, which I thought was the pick of the lot out of the 3 goals that we did score. But, we still... I thought RZ, after we scored our second goal, were starting to press a bit higher. They were starting to ask a few questions, but it was still getting gobbled up every time by Mickey, by BERGVALL, by Romero. Then obviously on the hour mark, which was obviously a planned substitution to take Mickey van der Ven off, bring Archie Gray on, that's when the kind of alarm bell started going off because Mickey was such a big part of us and nothing was getting past him the whole day. He was so dominant in that area of the pitch. Then Archie Gray comes on and straight away the mistakes start coming in.
Yeah, I've seen not quite a few. I've seen a few. I was watching a few videos last night from some YouTubers, and a few of them were critical of Ange for taking off Van der Ven, saying it's such a big game. We need to get the win. Nothing was getting past Van der Ven. How can you risk the result at that point by taking him off and unsetting the back line and basically putting the result at risk by taking him off on the hour mark? But I think they're probably the same people who criticised Ange for overplaying Van der Ven when maybe he wasn't ready. So he's being a lot more careful now. There's a few people, actually. I didn't notice anything specific myself, but there was a few comments I saw talking about Van der Ven, saying they definitely see a bit of a difference in how he runs on the pitch compared to before. I'm not a running expert, so I have to maybe look at it more and compare. But I wonder if anyone in the comments notices it because I saw one comment claim that clearly he's using a lot more of his upper body to run, which is taking a lot of the pressure off his hamstrings, and maybe that's something they've been working on for the last few weeks or so, which is obviously he's been out for a bit. But obviously him going off was a blow. I was a bit surprised. I didn't think he was going to go off. Obviously, we don't know what the pre-planned was. But when I thought Gray was coming on warmed up, I thought Sarr was kind of waning a bit. So I was like, okay, he's going to come on for Sarr and go in midfield. But obviously when Van der Ven went off, when it happens, and it's not an injury, he's just being careful with him. We want Van der Ven to last between now and the end of the season. We don't want it to go wrong again. I think that's the main thing. If we can have that, we know what an asset that is. So I think he's right to be careful with him.
I agree. he is right to be careful. And as soon as the sub was made, I completely understood it, and I wasn't looking at it in a negative light in terms of Ange's decision making. You know, Romero got an hour on the weekend, played 90 yesterday. Van der Ven, first game back. Obviously, he had a bit of a cameo in the game on the weekend, but it's his first start in a very long time. So you got to manage his minutes. We all know the problems that Mickey van der Ven has had this season, last season as well. We want him to be fit for the latter stages of the Europa League. We've got big games coming up. And also a lot of games coming up in April. We're pretty much playing 2 games a week in the whole of April. He's got a nice little break now. He's not in the national setup for the Netherlands. So he's got a nice 2.5 week break now after the Fulham game till our next game. So I did understand it completely. However, it was a change that nearly lost the game for us. That is the reality.
Yeah.
Because we conceded straight away. And I don't care what anyone says. If Mickey van der Ven is still on that pitch, I don't think that goal gets scored.
Well, I think when Parrott is not able to hold the ball up, I think Gray, he's able to hold off Gray, and where he wasn't able to hold off Van der Ven. I think that's the evidence there. Literally, the first time that Parrott had a run at Gray, they went straight down the line, where they were doing that a lot in that first half, except on that occasion, Van der Ven was just coming over, muscling off the attacker. There's even one moment right at the beginning of the second half, I think, Poku had a run. It was the first time he was looking dangerous, Poku, in that second half. He had a run down that side. It looked like, okay, is he actually going to get in the box? And Van der Ven comes over, just barges him off the ball, and bam, it's a easy tackle, and Spurs retain possession. Whereas the first time that happened, as soon as Gray was on, he just wasn't able to have the same impact that Van der Ven was, and Parrott was able to hold up, albeit we did recover the situation and recover control, and it was just a major screw up at the back, to be fair, which caused the problem. But it did stem a bit from Parrott for the first time being able to actually just get on the ball, hold it up, and try and bring the RZ players into play. In fairness, he still kind of wasn't able to do it because his pass was intercepted by Odegaard, but he wasn't even allowed before that to even hold the ball up, let alone play a pass. So I think that obviously made a difference. But yeah, I think maybe that goal came as well when it comes to BERGVALL. He's having such a good game. Did he kind of take his eye off the ball a bit in that moment and just get so confident, like, he was kind of breezing through it. He was playing so well. And he just thought, I'm just going to pop this off to Romero. We'll start again. But he kind of just, for a split second, just lost a bit of concentration. He didn't even realise Odegaard was like in the pathway. Just a poor pass. And basically it was a poor pass straight into Odegaard, who then lost the sight of the ball, fell to Koopmeiners, and he absolutely leathered it. You have to say, by the way, I just want to say, I can see why he's Koopmeiners' brother with that strike. He absolutely leathered that into the corner. What a strike. I have to say, it was a brilliant, arrowed that, and that was like a Koopmeiners.
No chance with that.
Yeah, it was past him before he could even dive. It was Koopmeiners-esque with the right foot, the Teemu Koopmeiners. You can see why they're brothers. It was a real brilliant strike. And at that point, you're like, have we just thrown this away? We were completely in control at that point. The game was in the palm of our hands. We're 2-0 up. And you're thinking, have we just Spurs this? And I think was it just after that when Vicario had a bit of a stumble?
Yeah, just after that, Vicario, I mean, that's the second time in 2 games now there's been a heart and mouth moment from Vicario, and then they also had some other chances as well where they could have scored. Troy Parrott, hits one at Vicario. It's a good save.
That was at 3-1.
Was that 3-1?
Yeah.
And there was another chance as well with the header. Was that at 3-1?
Yeah, it was also at 3-1, wasn't it?
So I mean, there were other chances there, but those chances take the game to extra time, right?
Yeah.
So you never know what can happen. But look, it's a major screw up from BERGVALL, which he'll learn from. He's a 19-year-old kid. The way he played was exceptional. It's just that one little blot on his performance, which, if we don't go through, a lot of more people are talking about that.
Well, the reality is, as well as he played, and we're obviously going to give him a lot of praise, when you're playing in the number 6, the reason why it's such a tough decision to play is because you can't really make those kind of mistakes at all, because if you do, that's what can happen. It's going to lead to a good opportunity. It's different when you're number 10 and you're giving the ball away because you're trying something. The worst that's going to happen is it's going to go out for a goal kick, or it's going to go through to the opposition keeper and you can reset. But when you're playing in that position in the 6, and you're kind of a lot of pressure on you, you can't make those mistakes that he did. And look, it didn't cost us on the day, but that's something he's got obviously learned from, because he had such a great game. It's hard to kind of criticize him, but that when that's why a lot of people saying he shouldn't play that position, just because if you can't you can't make those kind of mistakes. And when he's that kind of age and he's that confident, is he bound to make those kind of mistakes in that position? I'm not saying he is, and hopefully he'll learn from it. But that was a bad moment from him. But obviously he recovered from it, I think, really well, which was really encouraging.
Yeah, he was brilliant all game. That was literally the only thing that you can talk about in a negative light. But credit to Spurs, dusted themselves off after being level in the tie, after being so dominant in the game, and 10 minutes later we've regained that lead with a brilliant team goal. I mean, that was
all round,
yeah, that was one of the best goals of the season in my opinion in terms of build-up play. All started off with James Maddison. The way James Maddison takes that on the half turn and drives up the pitch was something incredible. Presence of mind to get it out to, I think it was Spence out on the left-hand side. Little 1-2. Spence runs on the outside with Sonny. Spence gets it into Solanke. Solanke with an incredible back heel to Odebear, and Odebear has an open goal to put it in. So I mean, all those players involved, such a pivotal moment in the game, because the game could have got away from us at that point.
Yeah, 100%, and it was kind of threatening to at that point. Not that we were like being peppered before we after we got the third, we kind of were, but before that, we still kind of had a bit of control without again looking that threatening. But that just one moment, we turned it on. We found that moment to open up the space, and we were devastating. There was an absolutely devastating team goal. How direct, how quick it was. We just got the ball in the certain areas that we wanted it to. It was an absolute Postecoglou goal. That's a goal that earlier in the season we saw many times, that kind of goal, but unfortunately in recent weeks we just haven't been able to kind of do that kind of move too often for one reason or another, because maybe it's just because of how much it requires out of you. But I think it started with the goalkeeper, that move from the very start. So we literally build it from the back. A lot of people have been calling it a counter-attack. It wasn't a counter-attack. It was very much a build-up kind of play. RZ obviously pressing to get that equaliser on the night to go through, and we completely exploited them. That kind of move we've seen Maddison do so often, but too often we don't take advantage of it. But on this occasion he picked the right moment. Sonny as well, again involved in the goal, picking the right moment. That was definitely something that on the day that Son can take a lot of credit for in terms of his decision making for a lot of the time was really on point. Spence with a good ball, and at first you thought, is it an accident by Solanke? But I've watched a replay a few times, and as soon as he gets that flick, he looks directly at Odebear. He turns his head immediately, looks at Odebear. He's not looking at the goal to see if it goes in. He's looking exactly where Odebear is to see if he's going to get on the end of it. So part of me thinks maybe he did mean it. And that's
what I said yesterday. I said he meant it. I thought it looked like he meant it.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked like from his reaction to it, he meant it, to be honest. And there's Odebear. And what was also great, what I want to say about that Odebear goal, is the fact that he's also getting in that position that Johnson gets into. So if he can do those things on the ball, like dribbling and taking people on and causing problems to your position, while also in those moments making those runs that Johnson makes, then there's going to be absolutely no stopping him getting into that team. And that also shows to me that he's tactically learning about what it takes to play in this kind of system, what Ange requires from his wingers, because it's all well and good kind of dribbling and doing all that kind of stuff, but you also need to be effective in the final third. You need to be coming up with goal contributions, and those kind of runs is where you're going to get the goals for a player like him. And the fact that he was there, he got the finish, he got on the end of it, that was also made me just as happy as watching him glide past a few players, because that is exactly what we need him to do in that kind of role. And that was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. So straight after the goal, we make a couple of changes. Bissouma comes on for Maddison, and Brennan Johnson comes on for Odebear. And you're thinking at that point, well, we're taking off two of our better performing players right now. And Odebear, who's just got the goal, 2 goals on the night, being a threat. Maddison, who was just growing and growing in the game. What is it about Maddison that can never last 90 minutes? It could just never last 90 minutes.
I think that's just, maybe that's just him, his physical profile. Like, he seems to, I think even at Leicester, he wasn't a player that played 90 minutes too much. Like, I think he always seems to tire out around that kind of time. That's why he manages him, I think.
But, so obviously he brings on Bissouma for Maddison. He tries to go and shut up shop a little bit. Bissouma made a a really good block. I think Vicario probably would have got the save if Basuma doesn't block it. But, obviously Basuma does well to block it. And Brennan Johnson, he didn't impact too much for the attacking phase, but what I think he did do was muck in defensively and help us kind of keep the ball out the other side.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed that with the pace he has, he wasn't able to cause a problem for them on the counter. He had a couple of moments where he got on the ball but didn't really go for the space, which ours were leaving, and didn't really do much, from an attacking point of view. But he did obviously try really hard, and it was important to kind of freshen things up at this point because you need that energy to make sure that RZ don't have too much in that final 10 minutes. Albeit, I would say we didn't really handle that final 10 minutes great, to be honest, because obviously Parrott had the chance, which led to the follow-up you were talking about. I don't know how with 10 minutes. I think it was like 10 minutes to go, that chance. How has he got so much space in the box? And it was only Porro there. I think a lot of that was to do with probably a poor decision for Romero to go charging out to the sideline and try and win the ball. And obviously, if he wins the ball, it stops the attack. But he didn't win it. Goes to Parrott, and obviously they had an opportunity from it. So that was a bit of a poor piece of play, but we got away with it, luckily. Good save from Vicario, which I think the only save really had to make, isn't it, like the whole game. And then they had a chance later on with a header that was swung in, and the guy, I don't know who it was, but he got under it. It was just outside the 6-yard box, heads over the bar. That was the 2 moments they had. I think maybe with 10 minutes to go, knowing what a big game it was and knowing we, for our season as well, maybe it's only natural with the young team and stuff. A bit of nerves kind of crept through, especially with the form we've been on, and we haven't really, got that momentum with us yet. So I think there was a bit of nerves going into those last 10 minutes, and you could feel that a bit. But we got over the line, we got the job done, and you saw how much it meant to the team after the game. They went into a big huddle in the middle of the pitch. And I think that's trying to maybe show to everyone a bit of togetherness, that they're all still fighting for the same thing. There's been accusations about playing for the manager and a few things like that. Maybe that was a bit of a kind of a message there, doing that huddle after the game. But that was really, really big moment. And to get through, I know, again, it's only a quarter final, and we haven't won anything, and it's not like a massive achievement to beat RZ Alkmaar, who are 6th in the Eredivisie. As much as they're clearly a good team, they're not like, they'll probably be bottom half of the Premier League, or maybe even in a relegation battle.
As well, but you look at all the other Eredivisie teams, what they've done in Europe this year. They've pretty much, apart from Feyenoord, who did pretty well against Inter going out in the end. Was it Inter? Yeah. Apart from them, they've all been absolutely demolished, haven't they?
Well, PSV beat Juventus, didn't they?
That was in the last round.
Before getting demolished by Arsenal, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But in this round, they've all been completely demolished. Arsenal, who can barely hit a barn door at the moment, scored 7 past PSV.
Yeah. And Ajax got battered,
terrorised by Eintracht Frankfurt.
Yeah. So obviously it's a game we should be winning. But let's be honest, we've lost to worse oppositions at this kind of stage in the Europa League, haven't we?
Yeah.
Zagreb, we lost. Ghent, we've lost. So it's not like you can never take these games for a given.
No, 100%. But what I was it's a bit concerning the way we ended that game, because if we come up against a Frankfurt and we're in the same situation, we're winning going into the last 10 minutes, and we're that open and we concede those kind of chances, they won't be as forgiving as RZ were.
Let's just hope Van der Ven's last 90 minutes on those occasions.
Yeah, absolutely. And he'll have a lot more. Hopefully he stays fit, because we're going to need him. If we don't have Van, I think it all comes down to if Van der Ven is fit or not going into these last stage of the Europa League. He's that pivotal for us.
Yeah, for sure. He's just such a difference maker, and I think they just complement each other so well, him and Romero. We've obviously known it for we've seen them play together enough times. I know even when they've been together, we have had obviously poor results as well, but we look just such a more settled and better team when they're there. I think it's just so clear. And obviously Danso's done a great job since he's come in, and I think his injury is obviously a big blow when it comes to rotation and stuff. But those two obviously are our first choice for a reason, and you can just see those two, what a partnership they have, and I can't wait to see them back on the pitch again for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Matisse Tell now, because that's 2 games now, no minutes in either of these games. What I kind of think is going to happen now, I think he's going to get the minutes in the Premier League to prove his worth. And if he does, then he'll get some more minutes in the Europa League. But as it stands right now, I don't think he's in the thinking for the Europa League.
At the moment, when it comes to our best team, he's not in it.
Yeah.
That's the reality. He hasn't proven to be I wouldn't say good enough, but he hasn't played well enough to be in the team. I think Ange is playing the players who deserve to be playing right now, and Tell's not that guy. What was a bit more concerning is the fact he didn't play at all in the Premier League on the weekend, which I thought he was not playing him at all, because he was saying he said before the game he needs a bit of rest, and because he's played a lot since he's come in. So I thought he didn't play at all because he was going to play on Thursday, but he didn't play at all on Thursday. Maybe because Odegaard played so well he played pretty well against Bournemouth, I think, Odegaard. So he thought, I'm going to start him instead. But didn't come off the bench as well. Sonny played 90 minutes. He could have maybe put him on the left for the last 10 minutes or so. He didn't do that. Obviously didn't bring him on for Odegaard. He brought on Johnson instead. Didn't want to take off Solanke because of what he offers, and so he didn't want to put him up front, which I think is probably a smart decision at that point, to be honest. Yeah, it's wondering where he leaves him. I do wonder if he'll start on Sunday. Something tells me he probably will, but I don't know, obviously.
I think he will on the wing.
Yeah, if I'm Tell, obviously I'll be a bit frustrated because he's had to play up front and getting used to this league, and he has struggled, and we want to see him out wide maybe a bit more. Ange said the plan is when Solanke was fit, he's going to play more out wide, and now he is fit, he hasn't played at all.
You need to earn the right to play at the end.
But I
of the
also
day.
agree with that. Yeah, he does have to earn the right to play, and that comes with putting in good performances when you get the chance. But he needs that chance to do it, I guess you would argue. But he has had chances, he hasn't played well. And right now, when you've got Odegaard playing like he has in the last couple of games, when you've got Solanke, what he offers, and you've got Son, who's our captain, it's very tricky for him to earn a spot without being fantastic.
Yeah. So look, all in all, really good night. Not perfect night, but very good night. All we wanted yesterday was to progress into the next round, and we did that. It's a job complete in that sense, which sets up a very interesting and difficult tie against Eintracht Frankfurt, who completely swept aside Ajax with ease, pretty much over the course of the two legs. You've got to say that. A team that are going really well in the Bundesliga, a team that smashed out the Europa League group stages, smashed out the knockouts so far, and a team that are in better form than us. So I think it's going to be a very, very difficult tie.
Well, they're not really in the league. They're not in great form in the league. They're, as you say, they are third. I think, fourth now. They've dropped out. They're third. But I think they've won, apart from the Europa League, they've won like one game in their past like 7 or something.
Fair
so
enough.
I think since Mamouche has left, they have been struggling a lot in the league, and there's been a massive dip. But was there evidence of them getting over that with the win against Frankfurt? With the win against Ajax, with the way they easily swept them aside. And Ajax have been pretty good in the Eredivisie this season, currently top of the league, and I think they've got a really great defensive record there as well. So the fact they were able to score 6 goals over 2 legs is without Mamouche, maybe there's evidence that they are starting to overcome that kind of poor form. But in the league, yeah, they have had some difficult games. But they on the weekend they lost at home. They lost at home to Union Berlin. Like, they haven't been fantastic in the league since Mamouche has gone. So maybe it could be a good time to play them potentially if that form continues. You'd have to say, but it's still going to be a much harder test, whatever you want to say, than the RZ game. As much as RZ have done well in Europa League, Frankfurt are a different kettle of fish, and they got a young striker, the young guy Ekiteke, who's just been called off the under-21s, but he's having a fantastic season in the Bundesliga this season. They've got that guy last in midfield who's been linked with a lot of different clubs.
Mario Götze scored 2 goals last night.
Yeah, he's still balling out. He's still there. He's got winning experience as well. You can never discount that. So they've got some really top players that are doing pretty well in the Bundesliga still, despite the poor form. So it's not going to be easy by any stretch. And I think they're a well-coached team. They've been, don't get to fall for the Bundesliga by being a poor team. So I think it's going to be a very, very difficult tie. But a lot of it is still 3.5 weeks away. Bit of football to be played before then. Hopefully, the likes of Romero, Van der Ven, Solanke, Odegaard, they've all got a few more minutes in their legs, and they're closer to full fitness, and hopefully we're just as a team in better form. That's what I got to hope for, and that we can go into this game more confident than we went into this RZ game. I said before this RZ game to yesterday that I did think it was going to be a bit of a struggle just to get through the tie, because I still feel like we're not quite polished as a team yet as it comes to having everyone together for a bit of time and just kind of being really, really settled. But I'm hoping by the time we play Frankfurt, we're going to be a long further down that path than we were kind of yesterday, where still yesterday was what Solanke's second game since injury. Odebear's only recently come back. Van der Ven still can only play 60 minutes. It was Romero's first 90 minutes, I think, since back from injury. So even yesterday, even though we had our kind of full team out or close to it, still not quite there yet when it comes to really being settled. But I'm hoping by the time that Frankfurt game comes, we're going to be a lot more settled.
Yeah, I do think it's an incredibly hard tie, but I still think it's a tie that we can progress from. At home first, which is not the greatest thing. I prefer to be home second, to be honest.
For sure.
But I think we got to take a 2-goal lead there minimum to stand a chance, because I think going away to Frankfurt with their fans, very rowdy fans, it's going to be an intense atmosphere there, potentially in the second, well, definitely in the second leg.
We haven't done grey away in Europe this season.
Exactly, well, forever, really.
Yeah, forever.
So we need to go there with a minimum 2-goal lead, in my opinion. Looking at the other quarterfinal ties, you're looking at Bilbao against Rangers. You can see there's one clear winner there, probably Bilbao. Man United against Lyon. You'd probably say after that 4-1 drubbing of Sociedad, you'd probably back United to win.
But I heard Lyon in quite good form at the moment.
Yeah, potentially.
So.
I mean, that game is more in the balance than the Bilbao Rangers game, but you'd still expect Man United to progress.
They'll be favourites, yeah.
You got Lazio against Bodo Glimt. You expect Lazio to progress there, and then you got Tottenham against Frankfurt, where pretty much anyone's guess is as good as anyone's. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So it's still going to be tough to win this tournament, obviously.
I still think we're favourites.
What, for the whole tournament?
No, for Frankfurt time.
Over Frankfurt. Yeah, we probably are favourites just because of the players we have. You back us, and we still got good players. But if you're a Frankfurt fan, they might think they're favourites. So I think definitely it's kind of 50-50, I would say, or in this game in terms of who will really go through it. Again, because for me personally, obviously, if I'm going off how this season has gone as a whole, I would say Frankfurt are favourites, but there's just, as being a Tottenham fan, knowing the ins and outs of the club and knowing, the reasons, or from, in my opinion, only the reasons why we've not been as good and things changing at the moment and players coming back, I can say that there's reasons to believe that we've got a really good chance to beat them once we play them. But, if you're not a Tottenham fan, if you're maybe just an objective observer looking at how both teams have played this season, you'll probably say Frankfurt might be favourites.
Well, all to play for right now. Quarterfinals of European competition is nothing to be sniffed at. We need to go into this tie with full confidence.
We haven't made it past the quarters since winning it in the 80s, have we?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true.
The quarters is the furthest we've been in recent years.
Mm-hmm. Which is mad to think about, because we've been in it a lot of times and we've had some favourable draws a lot of times as well. But this year is the year. Sure, hopefully we can make it past the quarterfinals, but it is going to be a very difficult tie. And I'm backing the boys. I think we can do it. I really believe that we can do it, but the home tie is going to be so crucial. And if we can have a convincing lead in that first game, then anything can happen. I mean, even if it's a tight game and we win only 1-0 or it's a draw, I still think we can go to Frankfurt and do something. So nothing is beyond us. We've shown against Frankfurt a couple of years back that we can muck in against them, but we did have the likes of Harry Kane then. So So look, good day yesterday, all in all. Not perfect, but we move on. We're still in the tournament, and we move on and we take it from there. But that is your match review from the 3-1 win against AZ Alkmaar yesterday. Just before we get into the player ratings, we've got a few super chats to get into. First up from Dark Sun G saying, Coys, it was hard to believe that this was Wilson, Vic, Spence, BERGVALL first European competition knockout stages. They're all calm and cold, especially Wilson.
Yeah, it's also a good point. Such a young team out there, which again, just a lot of people seem to forget, but especially when BERGVALL's playing the way he is. What a young team it is. And as he says, a lot of these players having their first experience of a European knockout. So I think goes to, first of all, credit to those players for playing so well under those circumstances, but goes to show this is a team that's still growing, isn't it? It's still not the finished article. Wilson.
Up to you, Dark Sun G, and he sends another super chat saying, if Ange chose Timo instead of Wilson for Telspot, what's he trying to say there?
What, in Europe? He's saying we should have picked Timo over Tel? Is that what he's trying to say? I don't know.
Big up to you, Dark Sun G, anyway. Tom Witten with the super chat says, can't wait to see everyone of the blokes who contribute to this channel wear a Sim was right t-shirt
Come on.
for the whole of next season when the club retains Ange up the effing Spurs.
Come on, we're getting closer to it, people. Just a few wins away. A few wins. Come on, when we're lifting that trophy, we're all going to be wearing the Sim was right shirts. Let's go.
You got to get them made.
Come on, we're getting them made. We're getting them made.
Dark Sun G again with a super chat. Big up to you, Dark Sun G. Says, great that Spence didn't get called up for England so he can get a rest. I agree. I mean, I'm hurt. I'm gutted for him because it would have been massive for him to get his first call up. I think Tuchel's squad's a disgrace, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Henderson, Walker, Reece James. He's going to call up Wayne Rooney soon.
Literally.
I don't understand.
It's unbelievable that everyone's so excited for Tuchel to come in, and then everyone's seen his first squad, and you're just like, oh my God.
I thought he was going to usher in
Bring
new
us back
England.
Southgate.
I thought he was going to usher in a new era of England progression and dominance and youth, and not quite. He's bringing Henderson in his first squad. I can't believe it.
I think Maddison deserves a call up. I think
Rashford as well.
White deserves a call up. Spence deserves a call up. There are so
Reece
many
James
players.
has played like one game this season.
Adam Wharton. I mean, there are so many players that are better selection for these. He's basically called up an old age home. Like, what is going on?
Don't get it.
But anyway, it's good for us.
Yeah,
I'm happy. The least Spurs players that play in this international break is good for me. Keep them on the training pitch with Ange and get their fitness built up for the coming month ahead. Brian Daigle with a super chat, and he says, a massive thank you to my brothers. We Are Tottenham TV is the very best channel out there. Thank you for all you do, and your content is fantastic, and our friendship is for life. Love you both and can't wait to see you.
Love you, Brian. I mean, you didn't have to send a super chat to say that. You say it to us every day. So big up to you. But love you. Love you very much. Appreciate the message as always, mate.
Big up to you, Brian Daigle. Much love as always. Another one from Dark Sun G says, with Vucevic coming soon, do we send Radu on loan?
Well, who's going to take him when he's got an ACL?
Yeah.
So I don't think so.
He's going to be out until like December minimum.
Yeah, unless he has a really quick recovery like Rodri seemed to have. That's still quite long, but
I can't really see like the future of Radu at this club.
At the moment,
can't really see it.
Yeah, I think even when he comes back, he's not going to be at his best for another year. And even when he is at his best, is he even good enough? It depends who the manager is, of course, at the
I don't
time.
think it's a question of good enough, but I just think stylistically it just doesn't.
That's my point.
Doesn't fit.
Like, is he a good enough fit? I mean, not good enough like player, but yeah, I agree. I think there's a good chance we try and sell him. I think.
And the last super chat here from Samuel Lynch, and it just says Arsenal relegation.
Yeah, I'm up for it. I'm all for it. Let's vote them out of the league. Come on.
Big up to you, Samuel. But let's move on and let's go into our player ratings. Tottenham 3, AZ Alkmaar 1. And let's start off with Vicario. 7s all round for Big Vic. Didn't really have too much to do in terms of saves. Got down well for Parrott's shot in the second half at 3-1. What I was really impressed with was Vicario, particularly in the last stages of the game, how commanding he was in his box. Caught a couple of crosses, corners, so that was really good. Obviously a heart and mouth moment when he was trying to play out of the back at a certain stage of the game. But yeah, apart from that, cool, calm, composed, leadership ability, everything that you wanted him from Vicario.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a pretty solid display. Not one of his busiest. I think pretty much had one save to make on the day. But I agree. I think the latter stages when he came and claimed those crosses from free kicks and really relieved the pressure on the defence, those are invaluable in those moments of the game when you're under the cosh and the opposition are trying to pen you in and they're trying to create opportunities. They're trying to put you under pressure. When you've got a keeper coming out and doing that, it's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, that was a scary moment. I haven't seen it back because I don't think there was any in the highlights packages. But I think did he just try a drag back and he missed it? Is that what happened? I'm not 100% sure.
He basically tried this drag back and then for a split second he kind of didn't know where the ball was.
Right, lost the ball for a second, I see, and nearly cost us. I think he ended up putting out for a throw. So he ended up saving the situation in the end. But I think by and large, another top display, and he's just been so good since he's come back from injury, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's been so top. So
I know
really
it makes a bit of a mockery because like when Kinski made that debut against Liverpool, we were all like, "Why is Kinski our number one now?" Like,
no.
I think we all just forgot how good Vicario actually is.
Didn't help that Kinski made a few mistakes as well. But yeah, 100% Vicario. I think we forgot that we were calling him one of the best keepers in the league for a reason at the time.
Yeah. Next up is Jed Spence. 7s all round for Spence. Another really good display. I think it's better than what we've seen over the past couple of weeks, where I think his performance level has declined a little bit over the past couple of games. But yesterday he was back at it, being aggressive out on that left-hand side, contributing to the attack. Obviously, a heavy hand in that second goal with nice link-up play with Son and playing it into Dom Solanke. And I just thought he controlled that left-hand side really well.
Yeah, agreed. And much better, I thought, in the forward areas when he's going for overlaps as well. Obviously, involved in the third goal with a really nice ball into Solanke, but getting to the byline, using his left foot and getting those balls into the box. I think he actually set up another one for Solanke. He had a shot blocked as well, I think, which could have been a good opportunity. So much better from him, much better link up with Sonny. Defensively, I think Poku had very little. There was only one moment really where he got past him and Van de Ven was there to retrieve it. But other than that, I think Spence really solid. I like the way he tries to, he has the confidence in himself to always dribble himself out of trouble, and he usually has the strength to kind of hold off anyone who tries to muscle him off the ball. I think it was a solid display. I don't think it was incredible, but I think we've seen better from him this season. But I also think if this is kind of his baseline level performance, it's really, really great.
Yeah, there's something that is a bit annoying me with Jed Spence over the last 2 or 3 games, where he's trying to dribble it out the back a bit too much, and he does lose the ball quite a few times. He did do it once in this game that I can remember, but I think he's just trying to dribble it out the back a bit too much at the moment.
Yeah, potentially. I think maybe he's got to play his way out for a bit.
Next up is Cuti Romero. 8s all round for Cuti, and this was much more like it from Cuti in his second start in the space of a week. Obviously, it was not worrying, but he was rusty in the game on the weekend against Bournemouth, but he looked bang at it at this game. So dominant in the air, 4 of his 5 aerial duels that he won, and on the floor as well, he was playing some really nice passes into midfield. And there was one mishap in there, that a bit of heart and mouth moment, but I think he was brilliant for us on the day, and back to the Cuti that we all remembered before his injury.
Yeah, I think it was a near faultless performance. I think a couple of poor moments. Obviously, the pass that nearly gave a goal, no, not a goal, but nearly gave a good chance away to RZ in the first half, which his pass was right into the head of the RZ defender, attacker, and to be fair, it wasn't really in a good opening. I think he had a shot from 25 yards, which was just dribbled wide, so never really threatening. And then there was one moment when RZ had that chance right at the end of the game, which I didn't think he covered himself much glory on, when he comes rushing out to the fullback and doesn't win the ball, and all of a sudden puts Tottenham under pressure and we nearly concede. But apart from that, I thought Parrott was completely locked. I thought he was winning every single header, which is so crucial. I think with passing, again, what a difference it makes when he's got his passing ability on the ball to play players into space and play kind of progressive passes. So great to see. So great to see from Romero. Brilliant to have him in this kind of form. I feel like he's still not quite 100% there, but I definitely also felt like he set the tone early on in that game with this real crunching challenge in on one of the RZ attackers, and all of a sudden it got the crowd up, it got the players up, and we went on to went forward from that kind of moment. So that was really, really great.
And I feel like he just always plays better. He's always so much more calmer when Van de Ven's next to him. So I think Van de Ven can act as like that safety net for Romero when he's there. So it's like Romero's a safety net for the midfield, and then Van de Ven's a safety net for Romero in a kind of weird way. But good display from Romero. And we move on to Van de Ven. 8s all round for Mickey. Just slots in like he's never been away, really. What we know he's going, the recovery pace is unbelievable, so dominant in that area of the pitch. It just feels like that no player has a chance when he's going for the ball. And yeah, like I said, just so dominant. As dominant as Romero was in the air, Mickey was as dominant on the ground. And when they're together, it's just a joy to behold to watch them, and it makes you enjoy watching defending. Yeah,
the only problem is he only lasted 60 minutes. Sounds big. That was the only problem really with Van de Ven, because I think he was pretty much perfect for the hour he was on, and I think RZ just couldn't get near our box when he was on the pitch. They were trying balls in behind, they were trying passes into Troy Parrott, and every time they just came running into that brick wall of Mickey Van de Ven. And he seemed a lot more comfortable in this game. He seemed brilliant alongside Cuti Romero. They had that partnership back. It was great to see them together, and it was difficult for RZ to handle that. They didn't know kind of what to do when Van de Ven was there. There was one moment when Poku looked like he was going to get in down the right-hand side, but Mickey was there yet again to mop up and make sure that didn't happen. He looked strong on the ball, not getting bounced off as well. Anytime anyone went near him, he's kind of just barged them away and with minimal fuss. And obviously that pace he has, we know what an asset that is, and I thought he used it to great effect. And let's hope we have those two together for a long time between now and the end of the season at least. But I thought Van der Ven another top display, and hopefully there's more to come from him.
Pedro Porro, the last of the back four, 7s all round for Pedro. And yeah, I mean, I was getting a little bit frustrated with him in the first half. There were a few loose passes and loose touches from him. But I felt like as the game wore on, he kind of grew in influence, and he was really pivotal and important for us in those last half an hour when we're trying to hold on to the lead that we did have. This is very aggressive, defending very well. It's just a bit frustrating with maybe on the ball with his loose touches at times.
Yeah, I kind of agree more that like going forward, he wasn't actually as much of a threat as he usually is. I thought his delivery, obviously we didn't mention it, he got into a little tiff with Maddison, didn't he, over that free kick? Which,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was I think right at the end of the first half, I think they had a free kick, and he wanted it, and then Maddison took the ball, and they were having a bit of an argument, and Son had to break it up. And Maddison obviously won the argument.
Hate stuff like that.
That he wanted it. I thought some of his deliveries from corners were all right, but we didn't create too many chances from them. I don't remember too many great deliveries from that side. But what was great was defensively, I thought he wasn't exposed at all. I thought he actually did his job really well. Anytime that was a 50-50, he was coming out on top, and I thought he had a really good defensive display for a change. So that was really positive.
Lucas BERGVALL, 9s all round for Lucas, and if it wasn't for that little mishap that he had that let RZ back in the game with just a sloppy moment from him with a loose pass that plays into Odebear and they go on and score. If it wasn't for that, he would have got a 10 because he was that good in the game. Anytime AZ Alkmaar looked like they were playing out the back and potentially springing on us, he was there stepping in front of the midfielder, interceptions galore, tackles in abundance. I mean, the guy put in such a calm, assured, measured, aggressive display. It was incredible to see for someone of so young playing in the 6. Was just absolutely brilliant, and obviously he had that shot as well. So I think BERGVALL just keeps surprising me every week, and I think that was his best display in a Spurs shirt.
Yeah, he was strong, he was athletic, he was covering so much of the pitch, he was smooth, he was silky, he was brave. Everything you want in that position he was disciplined. He did everything with quality and with assurance, and it was with calmness, and it was such a delight to watch when he's striding along that pitch in space, playing the ball forward with brilliant passing ability, not scared to take people on and dribble, knock the ball around someone and dribble into the space as well if it calls for it. Found himself in the final third on occasion, had a couple of shots, or had one shot I remember from just outside the box, which looked like a decent dipping effort, which went just over the bar. I thought it was just a phenomenal display. He seemed to be absolutely everywhere. It wasn't just his best performance of the season, it was arguably our best performance from any number 6 this season, to be honest. It was that good. It was reminiscent of some of Basuma's early performances last season. It was fantastic, the way he was able to play, and the calmness and the quality he was able to show on that pitch was absolutely top notch, and he's just such a delight to watch. And having him in a bit of a deeper role, allowing him that space to operate in, maybe helped him a bit on the ball as well when he had a lot more space to kind of play in, and when he's got that space to kind of beat players with, he can do that with abundance, and he can play in the tight spaces as well. But he seems to, he's the kind of player you can't give too much space to because he can just do so much with it, and that kind of something they struggled with, I felt. But most impressively was his defensive display. Just so many interceptions and tackles, and just seemed to be mopping everything up, and anytime a ball was there to be won, he would win it. He would get there first and leave no prisoners, and that was what was so encouraging about that display. And maybe we have found our 6 right here. Who knows? I think that if that was the kind of evidence of what he can do in that position, I think we're going to start seeing him a lot more often. And I said in the fan show last night, maybe we found our Gravenberch, and he did kind of remind me a lot of Gravenberch, the way he was playing yesterday, just the way he operates in that position, and a player who's kind of moulded from an 8 into a 6 in a similar kind of trajectory. Maybe that's kind of how we see him as well. It would be interesting to see how he develops.
There's only one question. if Caicedo's worth 100 million,
Exactly.
how much is BERGVALL worth?
200 million.
Let's move on to Pape Matar Sarr. 7s all round for Pape. Such great engine he showed in the game yesterday, and I feel like he's starting to reintegrate himself into the season. It wasn't a great display by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he just did so much good work for the team, just non-stop running, covering so much ground, and just covering for his players.
Yeah, I think the energy was really, really good. I think he just made sure that no one was really isolated on the pitch. Every time that there was kind of RZ were building in possession, he was just basically there to help out whoever needed help, and in those kind of positions. Really good pressing from him on a lot of occasions. On the ball, kept it simple, didn't do too much. Kind of, I don't remember too much he did kind of in the final third or anything creative on the ball. Kind of left that to Maddison and BERGVALL and those players, but I think did his job to a pretty decent standard yesterday. And I thought, I think, look, it was a fairly quiet display, to be fair, from Sarr, but I think he did pretty well, in all.
James Maddison up next. 8s all round for Madders, and I was calling for the senior players to step up yesterday, and that's exactly what they did, and James Maddison was a key example of that. I thought in the first half he was fairly quiet, but when the second half came in, he just grew and grew and grew in influence. Obviously, starting off with the second goal that he scored, and he was so pivotal, taking that on the half turn, driving down the pitch, finding Jed Spence on the left-hand side. He obviously got he scored the second goal, didn't he? And the drive that I'm talking about was the third goal. So obviously very pivotal in both of the goals he scored, and just so creative throughout in that second half, and he was one of the best players on the pitch in the second half.
Yeah, I thought he was really starting to purr in that second half. I agree. First half, first half was quite quiet. Now, actually, I thought, God, is this going to be one of these Maddison no-shows that everyone's going to go on about? But thankfully, it didn't turn out that way. I think second half, he was getting on the ball in a lot more dangerous areas. Obviously, the goal he scored was taken so well. Brilliant finish into the far corner. Only touched it, one little touch and bam, into the corner. His involvement in the third goal was absolutely phenomenal. The way he turned that midfield, the RZ midfield, and played in space and played a good ball out to Sonny. And actually, I thought throughout the game he was actually really good at finding Sonny really early, so that we could kind of get RZ on the back foot and get them running towards our own goal, which is where we like to see defences in those kind of positions. I thought Maddison was actually quite good at that, and I think. Off the ball, again, I don't think it was. We've seen him probably have more energetic displays off the ball, but on the ball, his quality really made the difference. And at times, he was running the show in that second half. Yeah. So really, really great.
Absolutely. Let's move on to Sonny. 8 from Sim, 9 from me. Had his hand in 3 of the goals that we scored. The first one, all from his pressing high up the pitch, forcing AZ into an error. The second one, obviously some really good link-up play just to feed Maddison in for him to have his shot. And the third one, some really good link-up play with Jed Spence out on that left-hand side and finding Spence's run out on the outside. So very pivotal in the game last night with some key moments for us. And I just felt like throughout, he just had some energy about him. He never stopped running, never gave up the cause, and was looking threatening and dangerous throughout. Yeah,
I think it's one of the freshest we've seen Sonny this season, for sure. He definitely looked a lot faster. There was one moment he takes the ball from his own half and runs pretty much the length of the pitch all the way into the RZ box, and he ended up having a shot which was blocked. But I feel like on the whole, his decision-making was actually really, really good. Obviously, the pressing for the first goal was great. The assist for Maddison to lay it into his path and he can just take a touch and shoot, brilliant. The presence of mind to play Spence in on the byline for the third goal, really, really great. I think by and large it was really good. There were a couple of moments where I thought, especially that moment I was talking about earlier when he runs the length of the pitch, there were a number of players in the box who he could have picked out and decided to have a shot which was blocked. It was a bit frustrating. I did think his finishing was maybe a bit off on the day, with some of his shots wasn't quite the best quality, which we know what Sonny's capable of. But I think as a creative force, the job he did for the team was absolutely fantastic. And I've never seen Sonny so relentless for a long time. Well, just the way, maybe Elfsborg was the only other occasion, but he was just time and time again getting on the ball, driving at his fullback and asking questions, going inside, going outside, asking constant questions of his fullback. And that's when you know Sonny's at his most confident, is at his best when he's doing that. So I've been saying Sonny hasn't been that relentless for a number of years. So really great to see him in that kind of form. No surprise he has a bit of a rest and we're managing him, and he's looking to be a lot fresher on a more consistent basis. Yeah. And when he's 32, we've been saying, you got to do that with him. I think actually he's at that stage of his career. So I think hopefully we continue to do that, and we continue to see Sonny in this kind of form. And he's involved in all 3 goals and a real top display.
Yeah, he did actually take a while to get into the game, didn't he? Because opening 20 minutes, I thought he was fairly quiet and he wasn't getting the better of his fullback, but then something just flipped and he was one of the better performances on the night and very pivotal to us. Solanke up next, 7 from Sim, 8 from me. Obviously, heavy hand in 2 of the goals that we scored, 2 assists on the night. First one, nicely weighted pass into Odegaard. Second one was brilliant with her back heel flick to Odegaard. So 2 Odegaard goals assisted by Dom Solanke. But he just adds so much to the team that no one else that we have can provide that same kind of attributes. So physical, so strong, so dominant. His link-up play is really good. And I just love watching him play. Even when he doesn't get his goal contributions or score or assist, he's just so pivotal to us. It feels like whenever he's not playing, we just miss such a big element in the game. And yesterday he brought all those attributes.
Yeah, two really great assists from him yesterday. Selfless play. The first one laid on a play for Odegaard when a lot of strikers maybe would have had a shot on that occasion. The second one was a brilliant kind of instinctive flick into the path of Odegaard to get the goal right at the back post. And both of those things needed a quality touch from our striker to pull them off, and that's what we got, and that's what he provides. There was also so many good moments when he's holding the ball up in the middle of the park when we can just go direct into feet, where Tell was just bouncing off him and he was getting out muscled and he couldn't hang on to the ball. Whereas with Solanke, it just sticks. He just finds a way to keep the ball and keep it away from the opposition and get Tottenham up the pitch. And that is an invaluable asset to have when you've got a striker who's capable of that. There was one moment the ball gets played to him in the centre circle. He's got literally 2 RZ defenders either side of him trying to muscle him off the ball, and he just flicks it in between them and just runs and lays it off out wide. And I was just thinking, if that was Tell, there's just no chance he was be able to keep the ball there, or even Son probably as well. That's what Solanke gives you in that number 9 position. So really great to see him on the pitch again and in this kind of form. Want to see him maybe obviously get some more goal scoring positions. He had a couple of chances to get on the end of things in the box and didn't quite come off for him, but I think by and large, in terms of a overall kind of target man's performance, fantastic.
And now the last but not least in the starting lineup, Wilson Odegaard. 9s all round for Wilson. Just offers so much more than what Brennan does in the game. He's able to take on his man consistently. 3 out of his 4 dribbles successful. Not only that, I think he's aggressive as well. Wins the ball back, was winning his duels consistently, and got on the score sheet twice as well with some really good positional play, which we're so quick to praise Brennan Johnson for. But so Brennan Johnson only pretty much does that. So Odegaard has so much more strings to his bow at the moment, and it's great to see. It's a joy to behold, and he's such an exciting player to watch as well. The way he can just get the ball and drive, no matter how many players are in front of him, he's willing to take them all on, and he can do it as well. He's got the quality to do it.
Yeah, such an encouraging display, especially the fact that a lot of people have been saying, or I've also been saying, he looks a lot more comfortable on the left usually than on the right, but he played on the right on this occasion and looked completely at home in that position, taking people on, going on the outside, was really brilliantly creative when he was cutting in on the inside as well, which was even more encouraging, which means even though he's on the right, he still has that ability to go both ways, which is so important, which I think is something that Johnson definitely struggles with, I think, when he's on that right-hand side sometimes. And I think he looked even more at home when he was driving centrally and had those options in front of him. He could even dribble. He had a nice pass to Maddison. He had a few nice passes out wide to Son as well. I thought they struggled to handle him when he was on the ball. He looked so sharp, and there was at one moment he dribbles in between 2 or 3 players in that first half and lays the ball out wide to Son, and just those little moments which open up the pitch, open up the space, and unsettle the opposition, I think is what I'd use, which I think our wide players don't do anywhere near enough. They don't unsettle and ask different questions of the opposition. Odegaard was just doing that in abundance yesterday, and obviously he got his 2 goals, both really well taken, especially the first one, left foot, had to just fire it into the roof of the net, into the corner, and he did that in top corner so well with a really brilliant finish to get his first goal for Tottenham. He's been here so long, and he's waited a long time for that goal, but it's well worth the wait. And then the second goal, as you say, brilliant for him to be arriving at the back post like Johnson does. It's such a great asset to have, and it's such a great skill to have. And if he can keep doing that, then he's going to get loads of goals there as well, on top of the good stuff he does in general play. So really brilliant performance from Odegaard. This is maybe the game he really announced himself to the Tottenham fans as, you know, look how good I can be. And let's just see how he progresses.
Yeah. Now moving on to the subs, Archie Gray, 6-0 round, came on for Mickey van de Ven with half an hour to go. Was always going to be a hard act to follow with the way Mickey played for that first hour, and I felt like he was struggling with those balls over the top, Archie Gray, and they did get a few chances from it. After that, I think he grew into the game and performed fairly well, but it was just concerning, you know, Mickey goes off and then we just look all out at sea and fairly open.
Yeah, wasn't great when he was at centre-back, I thought. I thought the first moment he had to defend, I wouldn't say it was a mistake. It was just a stark contrast to what we had with Van de Ven. Whereas they play the ball down the line, Van de Ven was gobbling up everything, and yet when it was Gray, he allowed Parrott to get on the end of the ball and hold the ball up a bit. Other than that, I don't think he made too many mistakes. In fact, he went to midfield, and I don't think he had an amazing impact when he was in midfield either, but obviously maybe the fact he had to play two different positions and to adjust very quickly to two different positions led to a bit of a disjointed performance. Don't think he did anything too bad, but, you know, when you've got such an outstanding talent, you know what he's capable of, and I don't think he maybe was at his best, but I think there are probably circumstances to that.
Bissouma up next, 7-0 round for Biss. Yeah, I mean, he pretty much gets a 7 just for that block that he made, which, you know, could have been a pivotal block. We don't know. It looked like Vicario might have got there anyway, but you just never know. And better safe than sorry at some points. And yeah, he did well when he came on, Bissouma.
Yeah, the block was what saved it from going extra time. And it was such a crucial block as well, which he had to boot away when it looked like RZ could very well have equalised at that moment. So really dangerous moment and bailed out by Bissouma. I think, by and large, it was quite a quiet cameo from him. Apart from that, to be honest, just helped see out the game, add that experience when coming off the pitch to calm things down and make sure we saw it out. But yeah, I didn't think it was I feel he was all right, and that block obviously saved us.
And last but not least, Brennan Johnson. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. Came on with, 12 minutes left to play, 11 minutes left to play. Didn't impact anything going forward when he had a few opportunities to. But what I think he did do was get down deep, muck in defence and win the ball back a few times.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think he did all right defensively, mucked in for the team. Bit disappointing with some of his kind of attempts to counter and try and get him behind RZ, because I think he failed quite miserably to do that. And with his pace, we should be going for the throat at that point, getting him in behind and killing that game off. And he just didn't really impact the game from that point of view. So that was disappointing. But came on, worked hard for the team and helped us see out the result.
And last but not least, Mr. Ange Postecoglou, 8 all round for Big Ange. And yeah, credit where credit's due, because he's done a really good job in terms of the last few weeks managing the squad leading up to this moment where we've really needed, obviously, to get the win to go through into the next round. We achieved that, and I think for the 60 minutes it was a really good display when we did have our first choice players on the pitch. You're looking at players that are coming to the fore with Lucas BERGVALL, unbelievable performance in the 6 last night. You're looking at Mickey van de Ven playing an hour, Romero playing the whole game after looking a bit rusty on the weekend, and all these decisions are looking like top decisions, and I was really happy with the lineup that we chose, and I think that's the lineup that pretty much won us the game. Obviously the experienced players coming in finally and doing the business for us, and I think Ange probably did a good job in motivating the team and getting them up for this one, because it's been too many times in the past in big games where the experienced players and the team as a whole haven't really looked up for it and have been found wanting in a lot of games. But this one was completely different. We looked aggressive. We looked on it right from the minute one. Yeah, his changes might have lost us the game in another situation against maybe a bit of better opposition. But I think most of those changes were probably forced upon him. The Van de Ven one definitely was. With him being out for so long, I think he probably could have only lasted an hour. And Maddison always seems to come off at that point with his tiring legs. So
BERGVALL had cramp.
And BERGVALL had cramp. He had to get stretchers on the pitch. So I think the changes were forced on him. But having said that, you know, if we do go on and lose that game, he probably would have been the one bearing the brunt and taking the criticism. So look, we do win the game. I think by the end of it, it was fairly convincing, and I think we did deserve to go through that. So that's credit to him.
Yeah, and it was just a much better display. It was just such night and day to what we've been served up in a lot of other games in recent weeks this season. And the intensity was much better. The football at times much better. I think the fact that we were a lot calmer in this game, a lot more controlled, I think was a big credit to him and how we approached the game and how we got the players in a mindset that even though 1-0 down, let's not panic. We've got, we can overturn this tie. And I think we played with confidence and we played with assuredness. And I think the Ange ball is coming back. You saw it with the third goal, another glimpse of Ange ball returning. I think defensively, so much more solid with Romero and Van de Ven at the back rather than a makeshift backline, which we've been kind of having to put up with for a lot of this season. And I think you're seeing a difference now with the players coming back, the intensity coming back. Also, he's rotating the team a lot better. Or he's got options to rotate, which he just hasn't had for a long time. But you can see he's using that rotation quite well at the moment, which is really, really good. And he's keeping the team fresh, and I think it's leading to better performances. Well, look, this isn't the best we can play. This isn't our best performance of the season. I think we deserve to win, but obviously at 2-1, it was threatening that the game could have gone against us. But we stayed calm, we kept playing our football, and we got the job done. And I think a lot of credit needs to go to Ange. But if we go to the quarterfinal, if we go out in the quarterfinal, it's not. No one's gonna remember this game. Put it that way. So we need to make sure we get the job done there, get to that semi-final. At least going to be judged on that. A lot of football to be played between now and a lot of time between now and that game. But if we can play like we did in that times that second half of some of that football, then we got a great chance, and hopefully we get more settled, and hopefully you can start proving people wrong about it was the injuries that were causing big issues, and hopefully there's starting to be some evidence of that.
Yeah, I hope so. And over the past 3 games, when you're looking at from the first leg of AZ Alkmaar to Bournemouth to the second leg, I feel like performances have been getting progressively better. AZ was obviously shambolic. Bournemouth, I felt we were poor in the first half, and then when we made those changes, we got back into it in the second half. Look, we were lucky to get back into it, don't get me wrong, but the performance level was a lot better in the second half. And then this game, for the first hour, I thought we were pretty good. So
the second half against City as well was quite good.
Yes, let's just hope these performances can keep progressively getting better and growing as we get deeper into the Europa League.
Yeah.
So that is your player ratings from the 3-1 win against AZ Alkmaar. Tottenham are in the quarterfinals of the Europa League, and let's go and see how the internet did react to that game. And you've been brilliant out on X once again, with some great content going on there. And first up is from Nick Davidson saying, "No England call up for Jed Spence. Absolute shambles of a decision."
Yeah, I can't believe it, to be honest. He's been so good. He even didn't he just get nominated for Player of the Month as well, or recently?
Yeah.
In the whole Premier League, not just Tottenham. So I can't believe he's left him out. For the likes of Reece James, I mean, come on, Tommy. Come on, Tommy Tuchel.
Muddy.
Just calling up your mates when James has played 2 games this season, hasn't even played that well when he has played, and you're leaving out one of the best fullbacks in form over the last few months. I can't quite believe it, to be honest.
England's loss is Tottenham's gain. That's what I say.
Yeah, true. And hopefully uses it as motivation, Jed, to just keep pushing on and keep showing what you can do. I'm sure if he keeps playing like this from now to the end of the season, surely Tuchel can't ignore him. But for some reason, he's picked Reece James over him, which I can't. If you're picking on form, I can't quite fathom
maybe
how.
Maybe Tuchel's testing him.
Yeah, maybe he's testing him, making things deliberately hard for him. Even Henderson, he's only started 2 of the last 9 games for Ajax. He's not playing well either, so I just don't understand it.
Free Jed Spence. How many knocks can this guy have? You know what I mean? Jed Spence, right? He's had to deal with a lot this season in terms of him trying to fight his way into the team, and now he's going to have to do it in the England team.
I was reading an article from the Times yesterday. They did a whole article on Jed Spence, and they said, I was talking about his time at Leeds, and they said that Farke had a lot of problems with him being late all the time. They said he was even late to the meeting where they told him he's being sent back for being late. Which is incredible.
My guy, Jed Spence. Next up is from Blue Deer saying, Mickey Baby is very happy, a very happy Mickey Van de Ven walking off the pitch yesterday.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you saw his interview after the game. He just looked delighted, didn't he?
Yeah, very interesting though. I was listening to his interview on Spurs Play,
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's on, and he was looking delighted. But he was talking about the time he's had out since the Elfsborg game. Obviously, he was talking about the 3 months he's been out. But he said after the Elfsborg game, he came back and he said. He came back and he got on the pitch, and it felt good to be on the pitch. But he said something still wasn't feeling right, and he had a couple of problems. He specifically said he didn't re-injure himself, but he said he had to work a lot with kind of a lot of specialists to fix the kind of his issues he's been having, because something still didn't feel right when he was on the pitch against Elfsborg. And instead of kind of trying to just get him back on the pitch and get him playing when he doesn't feel right, they thought, let's just try and get this issue sorted about. I'm guessing it's the running style he's referring to. We didn't specifically say it. Get these issues sorted and go in a different way, have a different approach, rather than just kind of getting him back on the pitch and risking another injury. So I thought that was quite interesting what he was saying after in that interview. But yeah, really great to see him with a smile on his face. He looked really good. He looked back to his best. Hopefully we get to see it for 90 minutes next time.
Yeah. Next up is from Carly on You Spurs, saying, imagine being a Spurs fan that doesn't love Christian Romero. Could never be me. I love that moment.
No love between Parrott and Romero there, the old teammate. Did they ever play together?
I doubt it.
I'm trying to think. I don't think Parrott was ever in the squad when.
When's the last time?
They probably know each other, because I'm sure Parrott was around
together. But I mean, when's the last time Parrott actually played for Spurs? It must have been under Mourinho.
Yeah, probably right about that, to be fair. But yeah, he wasn't happy with a tumble from Parrott there, was he?
Yeah. Spurs Express saying the second leg will take place on the 17th of April, 6th-year anniversary of this famous European night away at the Etihad.
The omens. I mean, the omens of us to lose in a final. Is that what it is? Only Tottenham can have an omen.
We're only talking about quarterfinal. We're not talking about final.
I'm saying only Tottenham can have an omen when we lost the final. That's that's Spurs. But yeah, hopefully it's another special night like that.
Yeah. Spurs Express as well. Tottenham will host the first leg, and we'll go to Frankfurt for the second leg. We kind of know that already. Spurs Express saying these two put in shifts tonight, and that was Solanke and Son. They really did. Both of them just never stopped running.
Yeah, they really busted a gut, didn't they? And it's when they're in that kind of form, it's just adds so much to our team, and you can see the difference. So yeah, absolutely, they ran their socks off yesterday. I was surprised Sonny did play 90 though, but maybe he's a captain. He just wanted to keep him on the pitch, to see us through. But
I think it's just going to be a case of he didn't play the last game. Oh, he came on for the second half, didn't he? I don't think he'll start against Fulham on the weekend.
I agree.
Blue Deer says Cooties' love is like this, and yeah, that's Cooties' love language of violence.
Exactly. Just a little head grab. It was good. Headlock. Sorry. Fantastic. That's what I'm sure they love Cootie being back in.
Yeah. Blue Deer as well in the next one.
Is a win even a win if you don't get a headlock from Cootie?
Oh, definitely not. They says they have each other, and while Cootie's love language is violence, Sonny's love language is definitely physical touch.
Cootie son.
Yeah, Cootie son. Blue Deer as well saying lean on Cootie's shoulders, and that was Sonny leaning on his shoulders after the game. Lovely seeing the love between them two back at it.
Yeah, it's great to have them both on the pitch at the same time. I'm sure they really help each other. Also, just being part of the leadership group as well together, I'm sure it's great for them to be on the pitch again.
HQ Wall P says Wilson Odobert and Son Heung-min this was at the final whistle yesterday.
Yeah, it was great for Odobert to get his props, because I just feel like he's been a forgotten man at times this season, And he obviously he signed, and when he signed, we thought he's going to be a decent player. Hopefully, maybe he's going to grow. He's still 19 or whatever. No one really expected too much from him, as much as we were excited about a young player coming in. But it's taken his time to have a game like this. But I'm so glad he's getting his props now. And look at Sonny making sure that he gets all the praise. 'Cause I'm sure it's been a hard road for him this season.
Yeah. Next up is Maddison and Son Heung-min both doing a dart celebration yesterday at 2-0. You'd love to see it.
Come on. Sonny's the one who always steals his celebration, doesn't he? who does anyone steal Sonny's one? I can't.
Yes, actually. Sonny once did. Do you remember when Pedro Porro?
Yeah, Pedro Porro. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, Sonny loves it. Sonny loves it.
Blue Deer said Sonny lifted Odobert up in celebration. This was nice and cute yesterday.
Yeah, really, really great. Oh, such a nice moment. And great for Odobert to feel the love.
AC says, proper captain's performance, involved in all 3 goals, ran his arse off today, didn't get a goal, but his work didn't go unnoticed.
Yeah, and like on paper he only got 1 assist, didn't he? But he was involved in all 3 goals in a real good way.
He got an assist, a pre-assist, and a pre-assist.
Exactly. So hopefully next time he'll get a goal. But it was a really top display, and you can just see the sharpness in him. Like that run he did from inside his own half. Like I just haven't seen that level of sharpness from Son in a while. Just that ability to go full pelt for such a large stretch of a pitch. So that's a sign that physically he's still capable of it.
Yeah. Ayudi says Mickey Son crumbs for me. Not sure what
Crumbs.
that's supposed to mean.
I don't know. I'm not sure what he means, crumbs. But no, they're having a conversation about something now, aren't they?
Yeah. James_Skoy says, what a performance from these two. Heung-min Son, there's life in the tank yet.
So is that our winger duo then now, do you think?
I think in our starting ones, yeah. Because I think
first choice.
Yeah, I think our first choice ones. But I think from now to the end of the season, you'll see many different combinations just because of what our situation is this season.
And also, it's also about performance, so it has to keep up.
Yeah,
stuff like that, yeah.
But in terms of Sonny, I mean, we're big advocates of Sonny on this channel. We always seem to bat away all the negativity that comes towards him. So you don't need to tell us twice about life in the tank just yet.
Yeah, and also, like, recently I think he's been put in a few really good performances. I think they just go under the radar a lot.
Yeah.
I think he has been quite decent of late.
Yeah. Hotspur report says 4 games to go till Bilbao.
Come on. Counting the games. Let's go.
Fabrizio Romano says, who's going to win the Europa League? So this is just the table going in to the quarterfinals. So obviously Tottenham, Frankfurt, Bodo Glimt, Lazio, the winners play each other. And Rangers, Bilbao, and Lyon, Manchester United, the winners play each other. So tell me, who's going to be...
Well, Lazio really did squeeze past Pilsen, didn't they? It was a late goal they needed.
It was a late goal, but it's mad that they got the winner in the first leg with 9 men.
Yeah, they also got the winner with 9 men, but they were 1-0 down for the majority of that game yesterday, and they got that goal. And if you see the goal, literally millimetres over the line. It was only just over the line. So, look, I think we just got to concentrate on Frankfurt from Tottenham's point of view.
What's the semi-final matchup going to be?
I'm going for, I reckon, Lyon Bilbao. And I think Spurs Lazio.
Lyon Bilbao. I'm going to go for Man United Bilbao, Tottenham Lazio.
You never know. There could be a surprise in there somewhere.
I wouldn't be surprised if Bodo Glimt beat Lazio. I really wouldn't. I really fancy this Bodo Glimt side. I think they're a really good side.
Yeah.
And they have been for the last couple of years as well.
They always pull off big results.
They just score so many goals.
I don't think they've ever been that far in the competition, though, but this must be the furthest they've been.
Yeah, probably.
But they do, in the group stages, and tend to get some really big results.
Didn't they knock Man United out or beat them in the group stages? I can't remember.
No, United beat them, but it was a close game, I think.
1, 2, 4. Son HM7 says Son Heung-min locked up.
Oh, I see. Look at his hug. He ain't going nowhere. Everyone's locking him in that hug. He ain't going nowhere. He wanted out of that. No, love it. He's trying to get Spence to come in as well. This is what I was talking about, this huddle at the end of the game.
Right.
Which everyone got together, and I think just showing a bit of togetherness, trying to display a bit of togetherness for everyone, which I think a lot of people have questioned whether it's there, I think, this season.
Yeah, I think it's important to see, to be honest.
Yeah, so there you go. I think there's evidence of... I think they did that on purpose, probably, just to show the crowd, look, we're all together kind of thing.
Joel Kim, big up Joel, says, Odebear's brace notwithstanding, how about this guy? Showed up tonight when needed, 2 pre-assists, 1 assist, played a big role in 3 goals. He wants that trophy. Come on, you Spurs.
He definitely does. And he not only wants it, he needs it. He needs that trophy.
Yeah. Ben Bowman says, just stood up and applauded this again.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Just look, like 3 or 4 players, he's just striding past it. When have you ever seen Brennan do that?
Never.
Like, Brennan's never done that in his career. Yeah, literally. And that's what I mean. Like, he opens up the space and just causes problems. And those kind of things, even though it didn't lead to a goal, like, when you do those kind of things, it just unsettles the whole team that you're facing. And all of a sudden, they're scrambling. They got to run to him. They got to run to the free player. Like, opens up spaces all over the park. And that's why it's so crucial to have a player who's capable of doing that.
Yeah. Charlie B says, I've seen Spurs fail much easier European assignments under managers under much, much less pressure than Ange. That's a huge win. The way he keeps playing, fighting is quite something.
I think that's also... I don't know about the last point. I mean, I think he is obviously continuing to fight. I wouldn't say it's quite something.
It's the way he keeps the players fighting.
I think the first point, we failed much easier assignments under other managers. I think it's a fair point. Like, we've had other games where you expect us to win and we've like failed miserably in these kind of ties.
Yeah, the only ones I can think of which are probably lower standard than AZ were probably Ghent and Zagreb.
Yeah, but Ghent we had our best team ever
Poch, yeah.
in the Premier League, and we still, like I was just saying, these ties, you can never just underestimate the opposition in these games. We've obviously gone out to like Shakhtar, who were a pretty decent team then. We went out to Basel under AVB. We went out to Benfica under Sherberdell. They're obviously a decent team.
We went out to Shakhtar, didn't they have like Willian and all these crazy
Yeah,
players
they were pretty good, I think. Did they win it that year? They might have even won it that year. They were, so yeah, we've gone out to Fiorentina. We went out to Dortmund. So to be fair, we've gone out to some good teams, but also, as you say, Zagreb and Ghent, we were massive favourites those
Nothing
games.
will be lower than the Zagreb.
Zagreb 3-0.
2-0 up
to a
going
manager in
into the
prison.
second leg with a manager in prison.
Oh, that was the height of embarrassment. Yeah.
THFC report saying Son Heung-min and Troy Parrott at full time. Nice
So love
little
between
moment
those
there.
two. Yeah. Not Romero, but Sonny showing him some love. Can always rely on Sonny.
Yeah. Attack the Space showing us a little clip from the game yesterday.
Yeah, this is BERGVALL, just that little BERGVALL dribble.
Oh,
This is
just
so good.
class.
Look, and it's an interception, bam, past one, bam, past another, and sets Tottenham up on an attack. That is just him in a nutshell.
Absolutely.
So great.
Next one is Tottenham just tweeting out Wilson Odebear after the game with a bit of a thumbs up. He
Thumbs
was
up for everyone.
Obviously very delighted with his performance yesterday.
Weren't we all? Big up.
Pape Sarr on X says, got the job done. Your support pushed us tonight at the Spurs official fans.
What's that? He's got a heart shaved on the back of his head there. There you go. Look at that. You can see on that.
He usually has that, doesn't
Does he? Has he always had that?
He has it
Never know.
often anyway.
There you go. Go on, Pape.
We'll go down to Charlie Parrish, who says, Mickey van der Ven is the one. He takes this team to a different level. The ability to get us out of jail with his pace, the physicality to allow to play on the front foot, the marauding runs and zip passes to up the tempo. I will pray for your hamstrings nightly, Mickey. And I think anyone watching this should be praying for his hamstrings nightly as well.
Honestly. We all need to have a set of hamstrings in backup just in case they
You
go.
can have my hamstrings, Mickey. I don't know if you
Take
want them,
them.
but you can have them.
Yeah, for sure. And we've just been waxing lyrical about him. He makes such a difference. He makes such a difference when he's on the pitch.
Let's go and have a look at this classic when Spurs win at home.
Yeah, you can see that.
Players coming through the tunnel. Pape, Whiteman, Solanke,
The relief on Jed there. Look
Jed,
at that. Sonny, Madison.
Porro.
Love it. I love that. A doggy. Didn't start, but still as happy as anyone. And there's Richie.
Richie.
Come on.
That's it.
So, yeah.
Oh. That was Pape, by the way. Spurs Express saying Wilson Odebear on Instagram. He said, let's go. Happy to have scored my first goal for this big club. Thank you for the support. Come on, you Spurs.
Great to hear from him. And hopefully he goes from strength to strength. Hopefully this is the start of a journey for him.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Squawker. Tottenham have had an incredible midfielder on their hands in Lucas BERGVALL. The 19-year-old put up a superb display against Alkmaar as he helped his side into the quarterfinals. He won 100% of his duels, 7 out of 7, completed 100% of his take-ons, 3 out of 3, while no Tottenham player won possession more times, which is 8, or made more interceptions, which is 5, than him. His game by numbers, 66 touches, 44 out of 48 passes completed.
The one that he didn't gave away the goal.
Yeah. 7 out of 7 duels won, 5 interceptions, 3 out of 3 take-on, 2 tackles, 2 fouls won, 1 chance created, and 0 fouls conceded. He's going to be some player.
And he is some player.
That's interesting as well, the one that they mentioned about fouls conceded, because BERGVALL usually gives up 2-3 fouls away a game.
Yeah, he
shows how mature he was.
We were making a joke out of it. He gets his gamely yellow card, and he didn't even get close to that yesterday, which showed he's, even in that aspect, I think he's taken his game from being really struggling with the physicality and getting involved in games early in the season to obviously getting more involved in the duels and physically, right? And because I think even throughout at the first point, he was always quite good technically, but I think physically he was struggling. He then took his point when he was getting the team where physically he's starting to get more a lot of duels and stuff, but maybe over exuberant, running too much kind of thing, making fouls here and there, running a lot. And now, hopefully, he's entering that another phase of development where he's just a bit more calm, a bit more disciplined, and learning those roles in midfield a lot more while keeping that discipline, that technical proficiency that he's had throughout his time here. So
such a quick learner. Everything that you're talking about in such a short space.
I know. He seems to be learning very, very quickly, but he clearly is a top talent.
Yeah. Stat News, Dom Solanke in the Europa League this season, 5 goal contributions in 3 starts.
Only 3 starts for Solanke. I guess he's been injured a bit, hasn't he? But yeah, that's really impressive. He's taken to the Europa League.
He's come on a few times and got some contributions, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. But yeah, easy does it for him. Nice.
Tottenham tweeted out saying, "What a night for Wilson." That's a great shot, that is.
The passion.
That should be from the account Spurs Pictures That Go Hard. I love that picture.
It's a great pick. And you see how much it means to him.
Yeah. Next one, again, another picture of Kuti and Troy. Just compare those pictures of Kuti and Troy and Son and Troy.
You don't want to get on the wrong side of Kuti. Just look at that face. Just zoom in on that face. Oh, my God. It's a little scary just looking at it.
THFC report. This was Bissouma pushing Odegaard over to the home fans.
Yeah, this was a lovely moment at full time. Really, really nice moment. Because he was a bit shy, Odegaard. He's still new to the team and the fans and everything. He actually hasn't played that much, and you saw Bissouma just making sure Wilson got his flowers. He got a massive cheer when he did it as well, and he deserves it. And hopefully, he wants to keep that feeling, Wilson, and go from strength to strength. That was a really lovely moment. Really well done, Bissouma as well, making sure he goes over and gets his flowers.
Spurs Express saying, Madison to Sky Sports on Wednesday, we have to go and do it. Talk is one thing. We have to go and win the game and turn over the defeat of the first leg. And his performance by numbers was 1 goal, 50 out of 62 passes completed, 2 chances created, 10 passes into the final third, 2 out of his 3 accurate long balls, 2 balls recovered, 2 out of 4 ground duels won, and 2 fouls won. Delivered.
Yeah, he did. Absolutely stepped up, especially in that moment when it's only 1-0. We need someone to find that bit of special quality to get to kind of take the lead in the tie, and he brought it. And that third goal as well, all came from him. So, yeah, really, really delivered on the day.
Carly brings us that Kuti Romero challenge that you were talking about.
Yeah, that really set the tone. Just crunched into that challenge. I think it was on poker, and then bam, set Tottenham up on attack and really set the tone for the game. And that's, again, we haven't had a defender do. I know Danso's quite big in the challenge as well, but we're just having someone. It's just having someone just bam, he goes for it. No questions asked. It's brilliant.
Lily White Lab says, can't believe so many wanted to upgrade Vicario. Last of our issues, his command of the area has been improved since his returning to my keeper.
Yeah.
And this is what we were talking about before in the player ratings.
For sure. And also for all the criticism, he gets for set pieces and stuff coming from set pieces last season. I think he's improved that so much. And I think that was a big benefit of strength of his yesterday, especially, and that's something he's clearly been working on a lot. Obviously, he still needs to work on playing from the back and stuff like that, which I still think he's not terrible at, but can improve on it. Yeah. But I think in some aspects he's just so good. His shot stopping, honestly, it's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. ESPN saying, Son the peacekeeper. The Spurs captain steps in as Pedro Porro tries to take the set piece from James Maddison.
Yeah, this is the moment I was talking about.
Look at Porro's face when Son comes over. Porro's like, yeah, I don't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah, Sonny's saying, all right, Sonny, I'll listen to you, El Capitano. But yeah, I'm wondering why he was upset by it. Maybe he just felt it. I don't know, but Sonny was backing up Maddison there, so...
Yeah, next is the BERGVALL. I mean, we've been through that, so we'll go to the next one. Premier League panel says, now as promised, this is a proper winger. Brendan Johnson's time as a Spurs starter is done. Wilson Odegaard has gradually built up his fitness, and he's now here to stay.
Oh, let's hope he's right.
And they're saying Wilson Odegaard's dribbling style is Sterling-esque.
With how he jinks in, and yeah, I mean, you can't, the way he does jink in ride challenges and stuff. I mean, Sterling in his prime, I would say. Yeah, not Sterling not Sterling now. Definitely not Sterling now. But yeah, he kind of has that low center of gravity, doesn't he? Where he just kind of, he looks so light. He's like a feather, kind of the way he kind of breezes past people, and that's I kind of find his feet. Yeah. So I think that's something that Johnson just looks very heavy when he has the ball all the time. Even though he's very quick, he just has that heaviness to him.
Yeah. Spurs Express says Tottenham are now the first side in major European competition history to have 5 players under the age of 21 score a goal in the same season. Lancashire, Ajayi, Moore, Scarlett, and now Odegaard.
Wow, that's really impressive. That's, I mean, first side ever.
Yeah, incredible, no?
That's mad.
And you think about it as well, like all the big English clubs, whenever they've been in the Europa League, they play like weakened teams in the group stages.
And also just goes to show that, the talent we have.
Yeah. Next up is Spurs Express. Kulusevski and Radu Dragusin congratulating their Spurs teammates after the victory yesterday.
Yeah,
Everyone in it together.
There was a nice shot of Decky celebrating the winning goal as well, which was really nice for him to see. And I'm sure he was loving it, knowing once the quarterfinals come back, he's going to be back, and he needs his team to get there while he's out. So I'm sure he was relieved as well.
And that is that for React. So that is how the internet did react to the 3-1 win last night. So big up to all those tweeters, should I say, that we interacted with. I think now it is time to look ahead to the game on the weekend. So we have a members chat quickly from Charlie Vale that says, "Our Swedish star boy."
Yes, Lucas BERGVALL. Let's get more Swedes. Let's get as many Swedes as possible, because he can do well at the moment. Huh?
Hugo Larsson,
bring him in. Spurs and Sweden seem to be a good combination at the moment.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get into it in a split second. All right. Let's get into the predicted lineup. Fulham against Tottenham. Big game, big London derby at the weekend. But just before we do get into that, let's give a big shout out to our sponsors, Stocks FC, footballer trading platform that we've just loved getting involved with over the past month or so. We've obviously been building up our portfolio, which we're going to take a look at. And how are we doing at the moment?
Yeah, Richarlison, he's dropping a little, but he's still top, 54%. He's gone down. We're currently still in a bit of losing due to Watkins has just been falling like a rock for some reason. I think he's picked up a knee injury. Maybe that's gone contributing to it. Son and Solanke, their return hasn't given the upswing we were hoping for so far. And Vicario is currently on the up on the overall platform, but for us, he's still a bit down. So that's costing us. But we are in positive. Mateta's flying up at the moment with a 36% increase for us. That's good. Romero's gone up as well, 17. And there's a few IPOs at the moment I think people will be interested in right now.
Yeah, let's have a look at them.
We've got Xerxes at 30.
2 sold out.
Yeah, 2 sold out. So Flecken and Idrissa Gueye no longer.
It was a very interesting one. I tried so hard to get in on that. 1p per stock. And they went like wildfire. They literally got sold out in like the space of a couple of minutes.
I think Xerxes is an interesting one because he's in really good form at the moment. He's starting to play really well.
Is he?
Yeah, he is. He's starting to play really well. He played brilliantly yesterday. And I think against Arsenal, he had a really good game. I'm starting to see some really good stuff from Xerxes all of a sudden. I think he's starting to learn that role a lot better. I've been really impressed with him. I thought when he played when he played us, I thought he was really good as well. So maybe he could be one to take a look at.
So obviously our portfolio is going fairly well. Some good IPOs there, and you've got to get in. If you are interested in Joshua Xerxes, you've got to get in now before it is the end of the IPO, because all the remaining stocks will be vanished from the system. But yeah, like I said, we've been enjoying this platform so much recently. If you use our link in the description below and QR code on screen, you get 5 free loan players straight to your wallet. One of the loan players that we got was Jeremy Doku, who did fairly well from us, and you get to keep all the rewards that the players make during their loan spell. So you get rewards for in-play moments like goals, assists, team of the week, team of the month, team of the season. So we've earned nearly $10 in terms of rewards all season from the players in our portfolio. So yeah, get in on it, guys. It's really fun to get involved, fun to see and test your football knowledge, but it's not a platform really to make a second way. It's just a bit of fun, guys. So get in it. Stocks FC, link in description and QR code on screen. But let's get into the predicted lineup, and let's start off talking about the team news going into the game.
Yeah, so good news. No new injuries from yesterday, so everyone who played comes through unscathed. Danso, Richarlison and Kulusevski all aiming to be fit after the international break, but he couldn't really confirm a specific date. But he said after international break that they're aiming to kind of accelerate their return and their recovery. Obviously, Dragusin is going to be a long-term injury, so we could potentially, after international break, only have Dragusin injured, which would be a brilliant prospect. But at the moment, those 4 still out for the weekend.
All right, so it's going to be in a really hard...
Well, as soon as you brought the team on.
All right, so let's go back.
Sorry.
Come on, guys.
No, joking.
So what? We were fine for the injuries?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so...
we can you hear now? Yeah, fine now.
All right, sorry about that, guys. So, in terms of the lineup... Oh, we're going into the injuries.
No, injuries are fine, I
we
think.
did the injuries.
Injuries are, I was listening, injuries are fine. It was just when you brought the lineup on.
So, yeah, so obviously, sorry about that, guys, but for the lineup, 4-3-3 as per usual. It's going to be a hard one to predict because of the situations in the Premier League, and obviously Ange said that there's going to be players rested and changes are going to be made for the game in this weekend, and it will be like this for the majority of the Premier League games until the end of the season. But we do know, I suspect, that Vicario will be in goal.
Yeah, we think Vicario is going to be in goal. There is an option that Kinski may be given a go just because he obviously hasn't played at all since Vicario's come back, and he came in and I think he was told, you know, he's going to get game time, and especially until Vicario comes back. But, you know, he probably wants to see some sort of game time between now and the end of the season. Does he want to just sit on the bench? Is he being promised that he'll get some sort of game time? Obviously, we were in all the cups when he first came, and that's no longer the case. So maybe he was told he'll get the cup games, and we don't have them anymore. Obviously, he's not in the Europa League squad, so he can't play Europa League.
Wouldn't be mad if Kinski does play this weekend,
No.
to be fair.
Oh, no. I've got a feeling he won't play this game. Maybe he'll play, like, Southampton or something.
Maybe.
I feel like this game is probably going to still be Vicario, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are certain games he's given a go.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it's going to be this weekend.
So look, Vicario in goal, moving on to the back line.
Yeah, it's
obviously we
interesting,
said Destiny Adoghi, definitely at left back.
Yeah,
he's
so
the
I've-
dead cert.
I think he's a dead cert to play at fullback. Now, the other three is quite interesting because I was saying before, if I thought for sure with Dan so injured and with not sure Van de Ven and Romero both going to play, so I thought Davis would definitely have come in at centre back. But Archie Gray came on yesterday ahead of Davis, so I don't know why he did that if Davis is ahead of him in the pecking order at centre back.
But I also feel like Davis is just returned from injury as well.
That's also true. Davis, was that his first time on the bench?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also maybe plays a part. Maybe he didn't want to risk Davis, but he did play a few minutes, so is he now ready to start a game? There's a thing, does Spence and Porro both need a rest? So could Archie Gray move to right back and play maybe a Davis and Romero at centre back?
I think Spence plays. I think Spence plays at right back. I think Porro's on the bench. I think with Spence not being in the England setup, he's going to have 2.5 weeks straight on the training pitch, no games. Porro is in the Spanish squad, so he might have some game time over the next couple of weeks. So I think Spence does come in at right back.
So, but if Spence comes in at right back, but I'm thinking Gray will get a run out though. I'm feeling he will play.
I've got a feeling Gray plays in midfield.
You think Gray plays in midfield? Okay. We'll get into midfield. So we think Davis and Romero.
Davis and Romero, yeah.
So we think Davis and Romero, Van de Ven given a rest. Davis and Romero. So we're feeling that's going to be the back line. Yeah, Romero's going to start again. Although Van de Ven's not going on international duty, Romero is. So,
sorry?
Van de Ven's not going on internationals and Romero is.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, it's true. There is a case to play Van de Ven.
He did say in his interview he's looking forward to the weekend. I don't know if he's hinting he's going to play or not. But
the only thing is like just coming back from injury, 2 games in the space of a week, 2 starts in the space of a week. I don't know. It just fills me with a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, I know, me too. We're just worried about him, aren't we? We're worried about you, Mickey. We don't want to see you to overexert yourself. Maybe it's a case of, he'll swap Romero and Van de Ven or something through the game or something like that. It's just a shame Danso's not here because I think Danso would have been just perfect for now. But yeah, I think we're going to go for. All right, we'll leave it with Romero and Davis. We're there.
Moving into the midfield, does BERGVALL retain his spot at 6? Does Bentancur come back in? He's back from suspension. Bissouma is also a shout. Could Archie Gray play the 6? Probably not.
I think, yeah, so Bentancur was our 6th for suspension. He hasn't been great in the past 2 games, and BERGVALL was amazing yesterday. But I also think Bentancur would have played yesterday if he wasn't suspended. And also BERGVALL has played. Oh, he actually didn't start the game against Bournemouth, did he?
They arrested BERGVALL.
They arrested BERGVALL. So I think Bentancur suspended, didn't play at all, so he probably starts, I would say.
Yeah, I'm not delighted about it, but yeah, put Bentancur in.
I think he starts. Now the question is the other two.
I think they rest BERGVALL. I don't think BERGVALL starts.
So
I think
I reckon Maddison might. Well, I was going to say he starts, but he was very clear when he was about Maddison saying like, he was so good yesterday because he was fresh and he was well rested and that's why he looked at his best. So is he going to play him a couple days later? But then again, we don't really have another option. So
no, Maddison plays.
So I think Maddison has to play.
Sure plays.
So Maddison in the 10 and then just about the 8. So we got 3 options, I guess. It's 4. We got Sarr, BERGVALL, Bissouma or Gray.
Personally, I'd just love to see Gray in that position.
Me too.
I'd love to see Gray.
I think he will start. I think he will start somewhere. I don't know where though.
I
do think he definitely starts though.
Does he go for Gray in the 8? It's a big call to go for Gray in the 8 because obviously he hasn't played there at all this season.
Yeah, I think
there is could he play Gray in the 6 and Bentancur in the 8?
Yeah, he could. I think he would probably like to keep Bentancur there, to be honest. I think he'd probably rather. I think he's more likely to play Gray in the 8 than in the 6.
I just don't think Bentancur's been. He's just been so up and down in that position, hasn't he?
Maybe this bit of rest will have done him well. But I think I think Gray might even start. He could start right back. He could start midfield. Could even start centre back. I think he's gonna. We're gonna say. I do think he starts though. It's just about where.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll put him in midfield. We'll put him in the 8. Gray, Bentancur, Maddison.
Archie Gray in midfield we're giving a start to.
Come on, Archie.
Moving on to the forward line, we are looking at the right wing first. So I think Brennan Johnson comes straight back in.
Brennan Johnson back in. I think Odobed's had 2 starts in a row, has he? And so I think Brennan comes back in. I think Tell probably goes back to the left, I reckon, ahead of Son. Or is it, I guess it's either him or Moore or Werner.
I think Tell on the left and
I think
Solanke up top.
I think, I agree. I think Solanke keeps his place. I think Solanke's one of those players he knows can do a job again.
Well, he knows how important and pivotal Solanke is to our general gameplay.
I think
from the front, so important.
After international break, hopefully if Richarlison's, I mean, how many times we've said it, but if Richarlison is back and can stay fit, these are the games Richarlison will start. But for now, I think he's going to stick with Solanke, and hopefully when Richarlison's back, he'll be all right. But yeah, that's the team we're going for. I mean, it's not a bad team considering a lot of changes.
Yeah. So let's run through the team with you guys one more time. So it's Vicario in goal, Spence at right back, Udogie at left back, a back two of Romero and Ben Davis, Bentancur, Archie Gray and Maddison in the midfield, Brennan Johnson and Tell on the wings with Solanke up top. I mean, it's not a team that fills me with too much confidence, to be honest.
I mean, look at that team. It's not bad. It's not a bad team.
I mean, the front line...
Part of me, obviously, Davis needs upgrade. I mean, the front line's not bad. Johnson, Solanke and Tell. What's wrong with it?
Well, you're looking
our top goal scorer, our best striker, and an up-and-coming winger.
Yeah, if you look at it in that sense, then fine. But if you're looking at performance level from Johnson and Tell in the last month, it's been poor.
Yeah, but they're not bad players.
I'm not saying it's bad players. I'm looking at performance level and how they're all going to gel as a team together.
But they haven't played with, or Tell hasn't played with Solanke before.
Yeah, it's also true. But yeah, I mean, it's just not a team that fills me with confidence. Like, I looked at the team yesterday and it actually filled me with confidence looking at that team. This one, a lot of players just very hit and miss.
I think the biggest thing for me of that doesn't fill me with confidence is just that it's a lot of changes, and I'm not sure how it's all going to gel if you just all put them together and like make that many changes in a game. I agree, but I don't look at the team and think, oh, that's a bad team.
Individually, like, they're all good players in their own right. Don't get me wrong, but you've got players like Bentancur, players like Tell, players like Brennan Johnson, just very up and down.
Yeah. But maybe they'll be up on Sunday.
Yeah, if they're up, then great. Then we're all happy. But it's not a guarantee, is it?
I don't know. It excites me a bit, some of these dynamics, and how like Gray in midfield, seeing Tell on the left, like those some things that maybe we'll see a different spark. And imagine they have good games and give us a selection headache. So how great that would be.
Yeah. So that is the predicted lineup we are going for. Let us know in the comment section below your thoughts about the lineup. Do you agree? If you do disagree, let us know what lineup you think Ange is going to go for in the comment section below. And that is our Fulham Tottenham predicted lineup. 1:30 kickoff on Sunday. Sim's going to be there at Craven Cottage. I'll be with you here on the watch along with the one and only Marlon. But that is your predicted lineup going into the game this weekend. And yeah, we're going to move on straight into the preview. I was about to say it's a massive game, but it's like not too much of a massive game. I mean, it's big in terms of a London derby. Good to see Spurs play again. Obviously want to carry on the good feeling that we had from Thursday night and get back-to-back wins and get back to winning ways in the Premier League. But it's a ground that we struggled on, particularly last season, 3-0 in a really bad defeat. They beat us early on the season as well.
They drew.
Oh, we drew
1-1.
We drew with them earlier on the season.
Yeah, we were in the midst of our injury crisis. Obviously,
in a game where we probably should have lost.
Yeah, we could have lost it easily.
Because Fulham definitely outplayed us. But Marco Silva, he's such a smart manager. Changes his tactics to suit the opposition that he plays against, and he'll have a plan, won't he, coming up in the game this weekend?
I feel like Fulham, first of all, they definitely always have a plan against the top sides to really exploit the weaknesses of the opposition. I remember watching them play Arsenal. I think they ended up drawing 1-1, but Arsenal really struggled to like break them down. And Fulham were playing such a low block, and they ended up getting one counter attack, and they scored. And Arsenal were just really struggling in that game. They ended up getting a late equaliser, but I think it's just an example of how Fulham can just set up in different ways against top opposition. They're a weird team. Like, they're very tactically flexible, but sometimes they could look a bit toothless as well at the same time up front on certain games. Like, they'll have a really good game, like against Liverpool at Anfield. They'll get a 2-2 draw and look really creative. And then they'll draw 0-0 at home to Southampton, where they just don't look like scoring and like they just look a bit lost.
It's usually the big games against the better sides that they get up for, like, on a consistent basis.
Yeah, they usually find some sort of tactical flexibility, but sometimes that lack of tactical consistency can also hurt them a bit as well in certain games. So they are a very interesting team.
I mean, their last 3 games at home say it all, really. They've lost 2 and won 1. the two that they've lost, 1-0 loss against Manchester United, 2-0 loss against Crystal Palace, and then they beat Nottingham Forest 2-1. And Nottingham Forest, who probably say, are doing the best out of the lot.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. When they come up against teams who maybe ask them a question kind of offensively, when they're looking to like break teams down and stuff like that, sometimes they don't really have those patterns, and sometimes they rely on the team coming out a bit. But then they come up against teams who try and win the game and try and beat them, then they can come up with different kind of solutions sometimes. But obviously we're going to be that team, aren't we? We're going to try and go there and win the game. We're going to play attacking football, and they're probably going to like that, I think. Yeah. I'm not saying, hopefully it'll be a closer game than it was last season when they battered us 3-0. But I think it's still going to be a game where they're going to frustrate us. They got the likes of Robertson, who's I think a top left back, full of energy, and he really exploited us last time out when we played them last season. He was a big thorn in our side. They've got a really strong midfield. I remember Paulinho was a big one last time, but obviously they lost him, but they've adapted to that. They've got some really top attackers as well. Smith Rowe, he's been great for them. Adama Traore, he's always a box of tricks. He might be out, it looks like, but he's also someone that always worries you. Him, I think Andreas Pereira, solid, really great kind of technical midfielder as well. So look, there's a reason why they're in that hunt for Europe, and I know they're 10th, but points-wise, in and amongst it, because they've been pretty good this season by and large. But they do draw a lot of games. They do sometimes struggle to kind of with patterns of play and break down oppositions when they're asked to do the attacking. But it's going to be a different game on Sunday to that.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're looking at Fulham, because you would kind of suggest that Fulham are a really good home side, but actually they've only won one in their last 7 home games, which has surprised me.
A lot of draws.
Yeah, a lot of draws, and just one win in their last 7 home games surprised me looking at the stats. Well, you look at the other sense, Spurs have only won 2 of their last 7 away games, so a team that are not in such great form at home going up against a team that have been notoriously bad pretty much all season away from home.
They failed to beat Southampton and Ipswich at home.
Yeah, which is interesting, where they failed to beat them teams, but then they go and beat Nottingham Forest, they get a draw against Arsenal, they beat Brighton. So, I mean, they are such a weird team like that, 100%. I think when you're looking at the players that they have out, you're looking at Ryan Nelson, who's out on the weekend, who was a big thorn in our side earlier on in the season. I thought he gave us no end of trouble. And I think who is going to be a big miss for them is Sasa Lukic in the middle of the park. He's had a really good season for them. Suspended for this game, and I can see why, because he's always good for a yellow card. He's always very aggressive in that middle of the park. And I think with him out, I think they miss quite a bit of that aggressive edge in the middle of the park. Yeah,
I agree. I think Sander Berge has done well, but he's maybe not as actually aggressive as someone like a Lukic. Is Sander Berge is a bit more technical, maybe can't cover the ground. I think they're at their best when they partner Lukic with a Berge together. That kind of, those two players cover kind of what Paulinho did by himself last season in a way. But they've kind of, a lot of the season they've been playing like a 4-3-3 with Pereira in a bit more of a deeper role, and a free of Berge, Pereira and Lukic, and that kind of gives them a really good dynamic. But obviously with Lukic injured, they've adjusted. We've got them as a back three. That's what they did last game. That's not usually how they play most of their games, but last game I think they may be adapting to, I think recently, to be fair, they have been playing a back three. But I don't think a lot of the season they have. But again, that's Marco Silva just adapting to situations. That's what he does, and he's quite good at. So that probably isn't good news for us, to be honest. They're playing currently a back three, because that's a formation that we're not always good against. We can struggle against that kind of formation. But the only other positive is they've been playing it, but mixed results with it. So is it a formation that they're that used to? Are they going to make a few mistakes with it? Whereas I feel like majority of the time he's been there, he's played a 4 at the back, and that's what they're more comfortable with, I feel. In terms of their back three, we know Joachim Andersen, really good player with the ball at his feet, can find the runners on either side of the pitch with his ball-playing ability. Bassi, I feel like, has grown this season as well in terms of what he's showing, aggressive defender. I'm looking at Spurs, though, and obviously we are going to make changes going into this game, and when we do make changes like that, our performance can be a bit disjointed
we can look a bit less up for it. And that's my concerns going into the game this weekend, because we're going to come up against a Fulham side that are going to really want to win. They've got something to play for in the league, when Spurs' motivations in the league are pretty much out the window at the moment.
Yeah, I also feel like Fulham's Craven Cottage was kind of one of those games where whatever kind of mood you're going into this game, you always kind of have to be your best to win. Like, even the top sides, they very rarely go there and put in a stinker and get away with a win or something. You kind of have to be really at the top of your game. If there's any drop-off, that Fulham can take advantage of that. They're a good side. So,
because it's a specialised pitch, isn't it, Craven Cottage? It's probably the smallest pitch that you have in the Premier League. It's very tight. Fans are on top of you. And Fulham are so good. I know they have only won their last 7, but they are actually good at kind of managing that situation.
Yeah, and they're just tough to play against. They always make things difficult for you, and they're always also very adaptable. So if you kind of get some advantage, you have to kind of take advantage of that advantage. Otherwise, they adapt to you very quickly, and all of a sudden, those things start to dry up. So they're a very Marco Silva's a very clever manager. He's always kind of thinking on his feet. He's very good with his changes and changing his systems, but also can lead to his team sometimes being a bit toothless. I find sometimes Jimenez can be very isolated on occasion. And I remember that game against Arsenal, even though they adapted really well and made things difficult for Arsenal, they literally scored with like their only chance. If they didn't score that, they might not have had another chance in that game. So they rely on themselves being quite clinical in these bigger games as well, which they can be. But if they miss those chances, all of a sudden, sometimes they won't come again. But then again, against us, we do give up chances, let's be fair. So I think they're not going to be worried about not creating against us.
And if Mickey van der Ven isn't playing, we're going to give up a whole lot more chances than we would if we had the back pairing of Romero and Mickey van der Ven. And with Mickey not being on international duty, it does make me think slightly that we could go for that back pairing, but it does worry me to play Mickey twice in the space of a week.
Yeah, I especially the quick turnaround. I mean, if he's up for it, then maybe do it, give him 60, 70 minutes potentially. But if there's any kind of doubt, then don't. But hopefully he can recover in time. I guess we'll have to see what Ange does. He did say there's going to be a few changes, but I don't know. It didn't seem to overexert himself yesterday, but he obviously still had to do a certain amount of running, so maybe he'll rule himself out. But obviously I'm going to be a lot more confident Van der Ven's there. Or even if it was Danso and Romero, I'd be a lot more confident. But unfortunately, they're both out. And Davis only just returning from injury. So Davis, I don't know what kind of how condition he's in. We'll have to wait and see. But Fulham obviously got European aspirations, so they know it's a big game for them. And if they get the win there, that really takes them closer to where they want to be.
But in terms of Spurs' motivations and aspirations going into this game, obviously the league means nothing for us. But what these games do mean for us is building momentum. Ange has obviously had a lot of critics this year, and he needs to get wins on the belt in terms of just building that belief in the fan base again. Yeah,
100%. And also, whatever you want to say about it doesn't mean anything, but everyone uses all these league stats to, beat him with a stick. He needs to change that, doesn't he? Like, even if we're in Europa League, if we're just losing every game in the league, people next season, he lose a few more games and you'll get a load of these stats saying, oh, he's lost this amount of games, blah, blah, blah. So that can't continue. Like, he needs to start turning that around. He needs his context of his tenure to start turning around. And that includes the league games. Obviously, they're not as important as the Europa League, for sure. But in terms of the feeling around the club, the momentum of the team, the belief in the team, these things all start from somewhere. And that starts from, these kind of games. And for sure, if we can start winning these kind of games more regularly as well, that's going to feed into that Europa League campaign as well. There's going to play into each other. And you can't just expect to rock up and win a big tournament like the Europa League if you're playing as badly as we've been in some games in the Premier League. So I think it's important to show a certain level of performance, at least in the Premier League as well, to show that we're not as bad as what we've been during the season and how good we can be, and that we are a team to be feared in that Europa League.
Yeah. So, if you just bring up the form table, if you can, it's kind of opposites, haven't they? They've conceded more than we have, but we've been scoring more than they have. And it looks, in my mind, I've just got Spurs have been pretty toothless in front of goal building attacks. But I don't know if these stats take into account our Europa League game.
Yeah, maybe not. But this is what I was saying about Fulham.
Because we scored 4 against Ipswich. That's why.
Yeah, but Fulham as well can be a bit toothless, and I think especially if they're not getting Jimenez involved a bit, they kind of struggle to really have
just
chances.
know he'll be clinical against us.
Yeah, of course. And as you say, look, they've conceded more than us. They're a team that that can be quite defensively solid, and they've in the last 5 anyway they've conceded more than us. But I'm sure it's going to be different when it comes to the game at Craven Cottage, because they're going to come up with a tactical plan. And I can really see them making it very difficult for us.
A player who's started to get a few more minutes now and a bit more game time is Ryan Sessegnon for Fulham. Obviously came off the bench the last couple of games, started a couple of weeks ago against Wolves at Molineux, scored a goal within like the first minute of the game. Started a few weeks before that in the cup game against Wigan and grabbed an assist. So the last 2 games he started, he's got a goal contribution in both of those games.
Missing him?
I wouldn't say I'm missing him, but it's so classic Spurs for him to maybe come off the bench in the game and do something.
Well, yeah, for sure. And it's classic Tottenham for us to sell a player and then go on to do amazing. I'm watching the Madrid derby the other week, and Longley's like keeping Mbappe in his back pocket. I'm like, what am I watching? What is going on here? Is this the same Longley we had? But yeah, I think Sessegnon, fair play to him. He's gone back to his boyhood club, and hopefully he's going to find some confidence there, because it just obviously went really wrong for him at Tottenham. He's still young enough to make a long career for himself.
24.
And he's still. I remember when he was at times at Tottenham, when he was in the first team, there were times he was good, but just couldn't stay fit. Wasn't able to get that consistency on the pitch. And I think as well, with each injury, his confidence took a shot, and every time he came back, he just wasn't as confident as the last time he was there. So he seems to be getting that back at Wolves. And I do think their move to a back three will definitely help him, if that's what that's they're playing wing backs at the moment. So I do think that would be beneficial to how Sessegnon plays. I wonder if he'll start on Sunday with a point to prove. But yeah, he seems
I don't
to.
think he'll start, because I think Robinson will be at left wing back.
Yeah, it's fair play. But I think still, either way, he's maybe he'll come on whatever time he does with a point to prove and look to show Tottenham what they're missing.
10 assists he's had this season, Anthony Robinson. What a player this guy is. Surely he's going to be getting a big move sooner rather than later.
See, I would have said Liverpool are going to go for him to replace Robinson, but I think they're going to go for Kirkes because he's a bit younger. So
and a bit better as well.
And maybe probably a bit better. But Robertson, I said last season, I thought was phenomenal. I thought it was brilliant last season. Wasn't maybe getting as many assists as this season, but he's really taken his game on another notch this season. I think he's actually been such a consistent left back for them for many, many years. I think he was even in the team that got relegated a few years ago when they went down under Scott Parker. But he was still good. I remember I could see he's got. I think his biggest asset.
What year did they go down?
When we had Mourinho, so like 2021.
Yeah. That was his first season. Yeah,
I remember he was there then. I remember, what's it called? I think his biggest asset is he's just got an unbelievable physique and engine. He just goes relentlessly up and down that wing, and players just can't keep up with him. They simply, especially when you're asking a winger to track him back, they just can't. If you're tracking Robinson back, you're never going to have any energy to do anything yourself, and that's why he keeps getting in those positions down that left-hand side. And he's clearly really worked on his delivery, because he's putting them on a plate for Jimenez time and time again this season, or whoever's up front. And he's got a really great left foot. He's got really great delivery from the left-hand side. He's one player I'm very much worried about for sure.
And the thing is with Robinson, I think that's why it's even more important for Spence to play this game, because I don't know if Porro would be able to handle it as well as maybe a Jed Spence with the engine that Jed Spence has.
You know who he'll be perfect for is United.
Yeah.
Go to United, play wing back.
Dorgu and Robinson at wing backs.
He would be perfect for them. Absolutely perfect. He'd be such a great signing.
Yeah, last summer I was saying I'd love him at Spurs.
I would.
And I still probably would. I mean, if you go into next season with Robinson and Udogie on the left and Spence and Porro on the right,
I'll take that.
That would be brilliant options to have, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. He's absolutely fantastic. I think Tete's a big miss on the other side with the injury, because I think he's quite good as well. But Castagna, different kind of fullback Castagna is, but he's also quite good in his own right.
Another player who's done really well this season is Iwobi. 7 goals this season, 4 assists. I felt like he started the season on fire, and he's gone a bit off the boil maybe in recent weeks. But the skill set that he has, so physical, can take on a man as well, knows where the back of the net is.
Very versatile.
Very versatile as well, yeah. I think he's a player that we can... And you just know these ex-bloody Gooners.
Yeah.
Smith Rowe on one side and Iwobi on the other side, and Leno in goal. You just know all these guys are going to just have that extra motivation. And as well with Iwobi and Smith Rowe, they came through the Arsenal academy. So, I mean, they're going to hate Spurs more than anyone.
For sure. I think Iwobi's having a lot of fun this season. I think the link up between him, Smith Rowe and Nelson this season has been really, really great. And I think they've really enjoyed each other's company on the pitch. You could see it. I think obviously they must have played together a lot, potentially, or maybe not youth level, because I think Smith Rowe came through a bit later than Iwobi did, but they probably know each other a lot from their time at Arsenal. And I think you can see that their relationship on the pitch, how much they enjoy playing with each other. And I think especially in big wins and times where they're playing great football, those three are a lot of the time at the heart of it. And Iwobi, when he left Everton, people were saying, he was washed and, it's easy to forget. I think Everton signed him for big money, like 40 million or something.
Yeah.
And then he didn't quite do that well at Everton. Though he had one little period at Everton when he was in centre mid under Lampard, and he looked like he was doing something. And it didn't last that long, unfortunately. And when they sold him to Fulham for not much, and everyone thought...
No, actually, he signed for Everton for 30 million euros and signed for Fulham for 25 million euros. So it's actually not that much different.
All right, so it wasn't too... I thought it was more fast. Maybe it was with add-ons or something, and it didn't reach them. But when he signed for Fulham, everyone's like, okay, it's just a bit of a mess signing, but he's been pretty good for them. I think he's been a really solid always works really hard. He always really good with kind of his pressing and really hard worker. And he's showed this season he is capable of getting regular goal contributions and getting more kind of goal, making more of an effect in the final third, which I think that's one of the big things that has been holding him back for a lot of his career, where people say he looks good but doesn't do a lot of the time. But this season, definitely been stepping that up.
How do you see the game going? What's your score prediction?
I do think I wouldn't be surprised if we're better than we were last season at Craven Cottage, when we got battered.
It's kind of hard to be worse.
We were terrible that day. I can see it being a bit of a close game, but I also see Fulham. I think Fulham are just going to make it very difficult for us. I think the fact they've got a free week as well, the fact that they free week to plan for this game and the energy they're going to put in the game and what they're fighting for, I just got a feeling they're going to make it too difficult, and Silva's going to come up with some tricks up his sleeve. He's going to analyse how we play and really exploit us. And I think we're good enough to hurt them as well. But I think in the current kind of situation of the club, bigger win on Europa League on Thursday, going to make many changes, and we won't have as much time to plan for this game. I can just see Fulham edging it, and I think it'll be one of those frustrating games where they probably really exploit us on the counter, get a couple of goals, and we're going to have a lot of possession, going to huff and puff and not be able to blow the house down. That's kind of how I feel it's going to go. I don't think it'll be a battering, but I feel like it'll be a tactical win for Fulham, and it'll be like a 2-1, I feel.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same in terms of the scoreline. I think we both did our predictions on the ball, predict the Prem, and we both said 2-1 to Fulham. And I just feel like the motivations of both these sides are completely different. I think Spurs, they had a decent second half against Bournemouth, decent second half against Manchester City, but with the Europa League back into play now and Spurs looking to do well in that tournament, in the quarterfinals now, I just think all the eyes are going to be on that. And I think when we make changes, it just never looks as fluid as maybe when we play our starting 11 like we saw yesterday. So, yeah, I'm concerned about this game. I can't really see Spurs getting a win. Maybe a draw if we're lucky, but I'm going to stay with my 2-1 loss prediction. And, going to Craven Cottage is always difficult at the best of times, and this time it'll be even more difficult because of the motivations of both sides. Spurs looking to rest a few players going into this game. Fulham will have their first choice out there. And Fulham, I think, will probably be smelling blood. Marco Silva will have it drilled into them that's saying, this is not going to be a Spurs at their best. This isn't going to be a stronger Spurs 11. So I think Marco Silva will know that, and he'll drill it into them to smell the blood and to go for the victory and to be confident that you can take the victory. And I think that's what's going to happen. But hopefully Spurs can show some fight, can show some extra energy, and hopefully the players that come in will show the fighting spirit to say, look, I want to be in that Europa League team now. And hopefully, maybe the lackluster displays over the last 3 months, they can maybe counteract that with a bit of rest that they've had over the past week. So I'm kind of hoping to see a better performance and hoping Spurs can go there and do something. but I'm kind of expecting probably a loss. So.
But look, it's a chance for a lot of these players who are coming in to stake a claim.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's what they got to see it as. And hopefully as well, in fairness, like beginning of the season when we were rotating, maybe it was a bit different. But a lot of these players now who are going to be playing on the pitch have played quite a bit this season now, apart from maybe Tell. So hopefully they all should be a bit more up to speed, potentially. So maybe there's a chance that the changes won't lead to such a disjointed performance like it has done previously. But history tells us it will. So that's what I'm expecting.
Well, there you have it. That is your match preview for the Fulham game this weekend. Sim will be in the stadium getting you all the action from inside Craven Cottage. I'm going to be on here in the watch-along for the game with Marlon. So come and join me for the watch-along post-match fan show. Come and have your say after the game. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.